You ready?
Yo, you ready? We're ready.
Yep.
What's going on, everybody? I am Tim Pool, and this is Adam
Hey.
Krigler.
That's me.
How's it going, everybody?
All right.
Hey, we're back. We weren't here on Friday because I was on the verge of death. I'm just very exhausted, and I was like, I can't move. Help me, please.
Not actual death, but
Figurative death.
figurative death.
Yeah, I was just like, dude, I need to just lay down and stare at a screen. I think I ate something bad, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because usually what I do is when I do my morning show, then I go eat, and then I come back, and I was just like,
That's okay. I just played Division 2.
there you go. Was it good?
Yeah.
Yeah, New York, they're back in.
It's crazy how many similarities. You know how you find the random microphone recordings every so often?
And it's the same thing. Like
Every single one I'm like listening to, and it's like preppers like, man, we should have gotten more food. Or someone else is like, give me your food. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of frightening.
You know, man, they're... Why are they saying F? They always do this?
That's what they do now.
That's what they do.
No, because there's a delay.
Right.
Yeah,
But
whatever.
I started the stream early.
No, it's all right.
Whatever.
No worries.
So there's food riots starting up in Sicily.
Yeah.
Because my understanding is that the ferry company that shipped the food back and forth went out of business. So now
because of coronavirus,
yes,
or just in general?
Yeah, the economic shutdown for 3 weeks, and boom, they were gone. Now the food's not coming in. Then people can't get food. It's not just that, but some people on the island, they don't make money anymore.
Man.
So they ran out of money. I'll tell you what, man.
No food, no money on an island?
And no. It's worse than that.
That sounds pretty bad already.
If your mom is in bed and she's sick and hungry and she's like, please, can you get me food?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be like, anything.
Yeah.
Anything. And then they show up and they bring rocks and they're like, I don't care. I don't care about you. I care about my mom. So they're organizing on Facebook group raids to go raid grocery stores. So it's getting serious. We were actually, you know, I got to do the general plug before we get started though, because we're gonna get in. This is good.
Yeah.
The lead of this is that, you know, earlier this month there was a story from Defense One about Iranian, Russian, and Chinese media pushing the bioweapon conspiracy theories. They're blaming the United States for it. We've seen this from the U.S. Twitter doesn't care that China is saying the U.S. military did this, and it's insane. Yet they'll like delete a tweet from, you know, Trump or something. But this is going to be our lead story. We got a bunch of other stories. People are getting arrested. We're seeing a rise in, I guess, authoritarianism. But make sure you hit that like button if you haven't, and it really does help. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. We do the show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. We try to.
Yeah.
And then we put up clips every day. So make sure you subscribe. The podcast is up on Apple and Spotify, and we're trying to get it up on every single platform. So thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
And make sure to follow us. You can see my Twitter handle right up there, and Twitter, Instagram.
Follow me on Twitter, Instagram.
And as we now have gone to the wide shot, I have a special announcement. You can see here the new centerpiece for the show. This is Giant Eagle 1,000 sheet bath tissue. This is in fact toilet paper.
I think this is like the big pack you can get when you're in like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's
like
the
you go to
biggest you can get. You're like, oh, a 4-pack, yeah.
And it's 4,000 sheets. They want to make sure you know.
We're set.
Well, the reason, for those that are wondering, is because someone actually sent us this.
That's true.
And it's got to be maybe what do you think, like $1,000 of the toilet paper right there?
Yeah, give or take a few years.
Give or take a few years. Yeah, make sure you stock up. No, but someone really did send us some toilet paper. So thank
some
you.
Mixed beans and some rice and some chia seeds. Man,
yeah,
they sent a bunch of random things.
So
broccoli rice.
The story here was that he listened to the stuff that we said that it looked like they were kind of running out of, and he sent us all that stuff from his store.
Oh,
yeah.
They gave us the mustard.
The Engelhofer mustard.
Engelhofer mustard. We love it. We couldn't find it anywhere around. They sent it to us. So thank you for sending us that.
Yeah,
nothing else matters.
It's been
no donation, no super chat.
I haven't used it yet, but I'm extraordinarily excited to make a sandwich. I'm gonna make a really nice sandwich.
Some
tomorrow.
chow cheese.
Yes.
Put some chow cheese on it.
Yeah.
Cheese.
So let's go to the first story, because we were going to talk about like climate change stuff too, which we will get into this. But the lead story is the UK is pissed off because China's been engaged in this disinformation campaign since the start of this. They've been lying to us. It's been getting worse. And I had to wonder, like, at what point do we consider that an act of war?
Yeah, good
Look,
point.
So BuzzFeed reported that Chinese trolls are going online and they're sowing disinformation, which results in a slower response, and it actually results in people dying. Civilians. This is not like a military thing. So at what point do we say they're actually killing our people and we do something about it? I honestly don't know. But in this whole like controversy involving the UK government, this circumstance, they're actually saying they think China's numbers are 15 to 40 times worse. so that China might actually have like 45,000 dead.
Why would people choose to like believe this kind of stuff, but then when
Convenience.
yeah, it's like they're obviously not giving us the truth with their numbers. But
It's-
then
it's-
they're like, oh, well, but they say it's the U.S. now, so let's jump on that and run with that story. It's like,
Political
wait,
expedience. So
I
you,
guess
you,
so.
you get some journalist who's trying to craft a narrative. They know what the story is before they even looked anything up. They don't look up all these information and then think to themselves like, whoa, here's what's happening. They say, how do I do a story about, Boris Johnson of the UK being bad? Ooh, I know. Here's a story from China. And they say, but China says this. It's like as if we take anything they say seriously.
Right, exactly.
So I see this story and I started wondering about like what the limit would be to where we actually say, hey man, like you're getting people killed. And this is a story from Defense One from March 10th, where you have major adversaries of the United States, their media is pushing bioweapon conspiracy theories. I believe what they say in this article is that Iran is the main culprit in doing this. So you have Chinese officials going on Twitter claiming the U.S. military spread this in China.
Oh, officials are saying
Officials,
I
yep,
thought you were saying
verified,
just regular citizens.
Verified Twitter user.
Oh, wow.
And Twitter does nothing.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. So listen, this is going to damage our reputation around the world.
Yeah.
It's going to impede our ability to get supplies. At what point?
I don't know. I feel like every story I'm reading is all these different countries are like pissed at China for sending them bunk like face masks and
but it's
COVID
Europe.
tests.
It's Europe. It's not, Iran. Dude, did I tell you about what China was doing back in January?
I don't know.
Siphoning away medical resources from Australia, Canada, and other countries?
No, I didn't hear that.
So this was Sydney Morning Herald and news.com.au in Australia.
Okay.
A whistleblower came out and said that around the time that China was telling all of the world there was no problem, no human-to-human transmission, they were advising their employees in foreign countries to start buying up as much medical supplies as possible, like hazmat suits, masks, PPE gear, and shipping them off to China as much as they could. And they did. And Canada and Australia were two countries that gave away a ton of their medical gear, and now we're all panicked. We can't get it. And then when masks were being made in China by American companies, China turned it around and took it back. So China knew, and we have a timeline that going back to like December, China had evidence there was human-to-human transmission, and this was getting really bad.
But then January 5th or something, the WHO was like
15th.
Oh, 15th.
They were like, China
So,
says
like a month later, basically.
China says there's no human-to-human transmission in preliminary tests. And then they have, did you see that guy from WHO?
Yeah.
When asked
Shut
about
the camera
Taiwan,
off.
turns his Skype off.
Yes.
Dude.
What is up with that? It's like it makes me feel like the WHO is just a Chinese entity. Like
Japan.
Are you supposed to believe them?
Japan apparently called them the Chinese Health Organization. Like just straight up called them out.
Really?
The dude. So for those that aren't familiar, right? There was a woman from Hong Kong interviewing a guy from the World Health Organization, and she said, "I wanted to ask you about Taiwan's response," and the guy just says nothing. He stares blankly, and she's like, "Hello," and he goes, "Oh, I didn't hear you." And she goes,
"But let's move on to a different question."
No. She goes, "Let me ask you again." "No, that's okay. We'll take another question." She's like, "Well, no, I want to ask you about Taiwan," and then boop, turns off Skype.
Yep.
They call him back, and then when she asks him again, he calls it China. "Oh, we've talked about China already. All over China, they've had a great response." No, they haven't. They're lying about their numbers. They're cranking out. The crematoriums are running at full capacity, according to numerous stories.
Yeah.
And and I think China screwed up. China lied. They exploited it. They're exploiting it now. Their disinformation is getting people killed in our countries. And every step of the way, they're doing this really annoying tactic of like, whatever we say, they say it right back. So when we started seeing people question whether or not this originated in a Chinese lab.
Yeah.
So there was a study out of, and this is China's fault. It's not anything to do with us. There was a study out of South China University saying that some guy was doing researching bat coronavirus.
Right.
And then he had gotten bitten, or that he had been peed on or something, and so he self-quarantined. And that may have been the cause, because this was like literally across the street from the food market.
I don't know what article I was reading, but I did read one. I can't verify it because I don't have it with me, but it's saying that it's not man-made. This is a biological from an animal,
right,
that happened to be, transferred to a human and then exploded from there.
And we've known about the possibility of this for a long time.
Yeah.
It's happened before in smaller numbers and weaker viruses. Sometimes you win the lottery, man. It happens. Now, I do think it's hilarious, and I don't mean hilarious isn't like, haha, we're having a good time. I mean like eerily strange, kind of funny, that it's like we had a meme a meme going around of like 2020, we're going to have a pandemic, hoo-hoo, and everyone's laughing and they're like, ah ha ha.
Yeah.
And then it happened.
Yeah, then it actually happened.
Yeah. Well, we should actually read this bioweapon thing.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this, actually.
Yeah, basically the reason I bring this up is like they're throwing extreme conspiracies back in our face. And what worries me is if we have this disinformation that's getting people killed, this right here is them accusing us of an act of war.
Yeah.
So at what point...
I heard rumors for 2 months now that, oh, did they do this on purpose? Is this a biological attack? Like, it's not like this is a rumor that is just popping up. It's almost like they heard. I mean, I don't see any senator or like Trump didn't say like, I think it's a biological attack. You know, it's like it's random people who are just conspiracy theorists saying it.
Well, for them, it's like their media, right?
Yeah.
So let's read this, get some context. Defense One says Chinese authorities maintain that COVID-19 likely originated at a market in Wuhan, where people were selling bat meat. But Iranian, Russian, and Chinese propaganda media outlets would like you to believe without evidence, I love that, without evidence, that the emerging public health crisis comes from U.S. biological weapons. Disinformation about the coronavirus is spreading as quickly as the outbreak, fueled by Iranian, Russian, and Chinese government-backed campaigns, blaming and attacking the United States as the source of the scourge. One narrative all three countries, including China, highlight is the notion that the U.S. is weaponizing the crisis for political gain and thus worsening its spread globally. Rachel Chernaski, a project manager for the Foreign Influence Election 2020 project with the Foreign Policy Research Institute, wrote yesterday. You know what's funny?
It's true.
Literally what I've been saying.
That part's true.
No, I totally disagree.
Well, you mean the Democrats weren't like using this to try to sneak more stuff into the bill that they just
but
passed?
Not globally.
Okay, not globally. Yeah.
Well, so I guess the way I see it when they say the U.S. is weaponizing it for political gain,
well,
it
and
sounds
thus
like
worsening it spread globally, I feel as a separate statement to the first part, is weaponizing the crisis for political gain, period.
I definitely think that there is an activist media contingent with a political overlap that are trying to exploit this to hurt Trump and make political gains.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Joe Biden saying it was xenophobic to close the borders. And it's like, every country on the planet did this, dude. What are you talking about? Yeah. But what I see from this is basically what I've said about China. We know they're lying. We know they're engaging in disinformation campaigns. It's getting people killed, and they're doing it for political gain. They're sending bunk equipment to, Italy and Spain, the Netherlands.
I mean, China's claiming that those weren't like, I want to say FDA approved, but I don't know what their approval thing is, but it's a company that isn't approved by like the government. So supposedly the government's issued stuff is okay.
Do you know how piracy worked back in the day, back in the colonial era?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Let's say, you're France. Okay. You got a bunch of boats full of spices, delicious spices.
Sure.
When all of a sudden another ship comes up, privateer, with, black sails or whatever they did, and they start firing on you. And you fight, but you win. And so you board the privateer, and it turns out all the dudes, English. And you're like, these English MFers, man.
Yeah.
So when you go to England, they go, oh, it's a privateer. Oh, they're criminals. We have nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
And then the next day they go to another privateer and say, here's your mission. Go disrupt the French supply lines. And if you get caught, we disavow.
Yeah.
So what we see with China and other countries today is something very similar, where you'll see private criminals and private companies. And China will be like, when we catch these people, we'll bring them to justice. We are so sorry they sold you faulty equipment.
Right.
And then they go back home and say, good job.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's the point.
So you think that's what's going on?
I mean, maybe. It could be that people are exploiting the crisis and they're selling garbage for a quick buck. You know what I mean? Like, if you could mass produce trash and sell it for $10 per trash, these people do it. And it doesn't seem like China cares, because they're exploiting foreign interests, not national interests.
Do you think that's what's happening here? Do you think that this is them going, all right, go spread this information?
Yeah, totally.
But if you get caught, we're just going to be like, you're regular citizens.
No. This is coming from like their official media outlets.
You said that it's official. That's crazy.
Well, that's what they're saying.
In the Iranian government also, and the Russian government?
Well, the government...
all official people?
So look, the governments are playing it up like, no, we're not claiming it. Like they mentioned, China is saying it was from the bat. But then Chinese media goes, but what if? Oh.
So the media, newsflash, the media everywhere pretty much lies most of the
Yeah,
time.
but their media is an arm of the communist regime. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Dude, in the U.S.,
So it's much worse.
I'd be willing to bet, based on the title of this video, me like criticizing these foreign countries, they're going to claim I was pushing the conspiracy. Because that's what our media does.
True.
Like, they carry water for China, man. They love it. They love the communist teat, all the sweet milk that comes along with it. Dude, so Marco Rubio, you know who Marco Rubio is?
Yeah.
He tweeted something like, journalists are gleefully, celebrating or enjoying the damage or whatever, something like that. I don't want to misquote him, but it was a bunch of journalists were like, how dare you? No one takes pleasure in any of this. So then he posted a bunch of tweets where it was like a bunch of stories.
Pretty much them taking glee on it.
Yeah, right. And like making snarky political jokes about it and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know what, man? The media in this country is free, and they do this. And I think, the bigger question I have about all of this is, at what point are we going to see a crackdown on the First Amendment? Because guess what? We're already seeing a crackdown on we're already seeing a crackdown on most of the First Amendment. Freedom of religion and the right to peaceably assemble, both completely infringed upon right now. Gone.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
can't gather in groups of more than 2 in some places. How does that make sense? And they're saying you can't go to places of worship, and they're actually, they're calling out people who are engaging in worship, and it's like the government can't stop you. The argument is, well, quarantine. Is that a good enough argument? It's tough, right?
Yeah, it's a tough question, I don't know how to answer it really, because, I believe everyone, we're both libertarians. Like, I want everyone to do what they want to do, but then at the same time, I don't want stupid people going out and gathering and spreading it around, like that story we read, or that we're going to later on.
It's a great conundrum, man.
Yeah, it's
right. So this whole thing's interesting, and I think we should actually touch a little bit upon like the possibility of war before we get into because it's the war. If we enter any kind of war, then you'll see your civil liberties gone, right?
Yeah.
So,
do you think this is why they started talking about the draft last week?
But they talk about the draft all the time.
But now,
maybe,
in the middle of a pandemic, why is that on the docket?
And mentioning the women can do other jobs.
Yeah, why are they
time to
talking
get them
about
involved
that right now?
Yeah. Yep.
It's kind of a interesting time.
I mean, this has been this international conflict has been brewing for a long time.
True.
And me and many other journalists who cover conflict have been kind of, I don't want to say waiting for it, but speculating as to when we would actually see full-scale warfare. Apparently, we had World War III with Iraq and Iran already. So this would be, in fact, World War IV.
How would that? Is the entire world included in that battle?
It's a joke.
Okay, so
like Iran fired Iraq, and then everyone's
sorry,
like,
no. Whoever calls it World War III, you're wrong.
But there's
I've spoken.
So there's been a lot of speculation about Syria, the Qatar-Turkey pipeline, Gazprom, natural gas in Europe, the conflict we have, and the proxy wars. They've all been going on for decades. It's all part of the same conflict. It's never ended.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, a spark hits. We were sitting on a powder keg, and then the coronavirus happened.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it's a bioweapon. I don't think so. I think it's just these things happen.
But is it going to be a spark that lights the fuse, or is it going to be like an acid that just melts away the barrel so nothing happens? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like it could go either way.
I don't know, man. So China's claiming they have 2,500 dead, and they're like, no new cases, and we're like on the downturn, and people are uncritically showing their numbers. There was a really funny thing I saw on Twitter where this guy has a graph where he's like, I took all of the data on coronavirus, and you can track different countries. And then there was a frequently asked question, why isn't China on this graph? And he said, because their numbers are fake.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've seen locals
Not
saying
surprising.
the crematoriums have been running full speed nonstop.
In China.
And people have been, that was originally a conspiracy theory. The original conspiracy theory was that people could see satellite images of crematoriums going nuts.
Right.
And then all the fact-checking agencies were like, no, it's not true.
It's medical supplies.
Now a bunch of mainstream outlets are like, we have some serious questions about the number of urns being delivered.
Yeah.
Because apparently like 5,000 got delivered in like one period or something. I don't know how long a certain period is, but they said over the next 12 days, we're going to be delivering more urns. And people are like, so
why?
that's what, like 45 to 50,000 urns?
Yeah. Why?
Right.
2,000 deaths? 2,500 deaths?
Yeah, they're just empty. Everybody gets an empty urn.
Just in case.
Just in case.
We're just, restocking up. That's all.
like those videos we saw,
No.
people are collapsing in the street, and it's really, really bad. So here's the bigger question. You say, could it be like an acid just dissolving the powder keg and it just fizzles away? I don't know, man. If the amount of deaths are seriously that crazy in China, we now have 17,000 combined in Spain and Italy. It's like 11,000 in Italy. If the numbers really are that high in this short of a time span, then at what point do they become desperate? People are starting, countries are now hoarding food.
Yeah.
So we're one of the first things that needs to happen is hard dividing lines, so people know who's fighting who.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We've talked a lot about like the possibility of a civil war in the U.S., and one of the things that makes it less likely is that there's not going to be a clear delineation between factions, and so it's really difficult to fight if you go outside and you're like, here's a guy, okay, he's wearing a Muse shirt. Are you on my side?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Versus if people are like wearing clear patches or in a certain area, and you walk into the area and say, hey, you, what are you doing? You're on this territory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll suit it up.
So I guess my question is like for this opening segment is like, at what point do we say this is war? Is it going to be like a shot heard around the world moment? Because look, man.
Well, what would that be? Like, I can't picture any sort of warfare where anyone gets out of this, on top.
Of course.
Like China claims, if their numbers are wrong, which everyone's assuming they're wrong.
Lies.
Yeah, they're not in very good shape. We're not in very good shape. No one's in very good shape. And if we go to war, that means, we would want to supply them with food and whatever to keep, but the supply lines are already kind of, they're getting interrupted.
So in some areas, I'm already hearing that people can't get supplies anymore.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's interesting because when you're on Twitter, you're like in one place where you can see everyone talking.
Yeah.
But then you got to realize people are all over the world. So I saw one person tweeting about how there's no, there's like certain supplies are completely drained in my area and we can't get them anywhere. We can't even order them.
Yeah.
And so like we went to the store the other day to just get food stuff, and we're like,
seemed fine.
Oh, they had tons.
Seemed normal.
They had a full pallet of 25-pound bags of flour.
Yeah, I didn't know eggs was the one thing that was gone, right?
No, they had eggs, but it was less.
They had eggs at Sam's, not at Walmart.
Sam's, right?
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Walmart.
Right. At Walmart.
Walmart was missing a ton of stuff.
Right.
And that makes sense though, because Sam's is
But
like
not that much though.
Right. Yeah.
As I expected to see.
Yeah, they had milk and
It was
everything.
just eggs were gone. That was it.
Yeah.
So,
And
which are
Mac-
perishable. Which, well, I guess you could keep them. There is ways.
There were some things, but for the most part, it was like it seemed like there was a little bit less of most things, but most things were there.
Yeah.
But in some areas, they are getting hit. So anyway, I guess I don't know, man. I think if China gets strained and the factories are shut down and they can't produce food, if we can overproduce food, then I don't think we have anything really to worry about. I don't think anyone's gonna want to fight.
Yeah.
They're gonna try and secure their own circumstances, their own situations. But if somebody died in the U.S. because of disinformation, and they did, what do we say to their family? Like so we have what I think around 2,000, just over 2,000 people have died so far in the U.S. Now some people want to blame Trump. I don't think that's fair. I think to a certain point you can criticize the president. You can criticize Bill de Blasio a lot more because New York City is the hardest hit place, and Cuomo gets some of that criticism. But come on, the fault is really on China for lying to us.
Yeah.
If they came out right away and said, look, preliminary data shows human-to-human transmission, it could be a false alarm, but seriously, get ready for this.
Everybody locked down.
Yep.
Let's do this.
Yep.
But yeah, they're trying
But
to
they're
save
exploiting it.
Yeah.
No, they're exploiting it.
How
They
so?
for one, they immediately started having their employees in other countries siphon away emergency medical gear and send it to China. And so they did it in a legal way. They did it through the free market, which leads to a serious, conundrum I see on the internet where they're like, all they did was buy up as much as they could through free market practice.
Yeah.
And my response is, by lying to us, lying to the World Health Organization, so that no one understood how bad it was, and then a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's really cool that we're helping China with their medical gear because they're facing a shortage." And now that we've got 120,000 or so people in the U.S., we're like, "We need medical gear," and that's why that to me is why it's so annoying when people are like, "Trump has fumbled this across the board," and it's like, look, man.
Well, people feel better when they have someone to blame.
Blame China. Come on.
Good point.
Yeah, but the media is too busy carrying water for them, saying it's racist if you blame China.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Communist Party of China is not a race. It is an authoritarian organization of some sort.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So anyway, here's the main point. We can move on to another subject, but I'm just to the people whose families have lost their lives, who have lost loved ones. If they want answers, are they going to ignore this, or do we need to tell them like China lied and the people you cared about died? And is there anything that's going to come from it? And if we do want something to come from it, what if China says F you? Do we just say, okay, that's cool, we're not going to do anything, you're good? Or does somebody say, nah? And then, I think really in order for war to break out, you need some kind of hard desperation or ideological zealotry.
Right.
China would have to be like, we are seizing the South China Sea, period. Full-on military blockade.
We will shoot down any plane, any ship that comes into that space.
And then if the U.S. says we're going to, fly in international waters, and then, because China already lasered a plane a couple, last month or whatever. So we've been dangerously close. I don't want to act like I think it's guaranteed, but I've had people, who cover this stuff and who have, worked in military stuff being like, dude, it's getting worse than it's ever been, especially with the pandemic, with the loss of, food stores, hoarding. And then you have these media companies, or I shouldn't say companies, but state-run propaganda, trying to convince their populations we did this to them.
Yeah, there's this article I read about like the escalation of the blame game between China and America, basically, because once Trump went on and said the Chinese virus, it was kind of like pointing a big finger at China and saying you're to blame. And it's not necessarily the Chinese citizens, it is the CCP who was like, we're not saying anything to anybody, and
that's why CCP virus is better.
Right, exactly.
Or Jinping plague.
That makes a lot more sense. But then now they're doing this because how are you going to go further up from it's not our fault and like it's not the Chinese virus? Well, you're the one who put it there then. Let's push that campaign.
A bioweapon claim is so much like more egregious.
Absolutely, I agree.
It's look, if we've got a bunch of random people on the internet claiming that it was a Chinese bioweapon, like, come on. Of course, it's like people are going to go on the internet and say whatever they want.
Yeah.
If state-run media organizations or state-sanctioned or controlled media organizations are telling their citizens the United States engineered a bioweapon to go after them, they're going to be like, they're going to be rallied, right?
Yeah.
They're so this is what people, what a false flag is.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what people basically. It's kind of like a false flag. Convince your people that you're under attack. A false flag would be they attack themselves and then blame it on someone else flying a false flag, right?
Right.
But it's similar in that they need to get all of their people on board with full-on conflict with us. Not that some of these countries actually need that, but Russia kind of does. Because the Russian people and the American people, for the most part, they absolutely do not hate each other.
You know what? This almost feels like, remember we were talking about those videos that were emerging? We weren't able to show them to you guys because we can't really confirm them, but we were seeing videos out of China of almost like civil war. Like people were fighting and like being locked away and like joining their own police force and fighting other police
that video is public. Everyone's seen it. That's reported. Okay. Yeah, Wuhan, they're flipping a police vehicle.
I mean, this almost seems like they're trying to convince their own citizens, and it has almost nothing to do with us. I mean, obviously it does because we're the main target here, but it's like if people are actually rising up against the CCP in China, we won't know. We're not going to know anything about that. But if that's actually happened, which it looks like it could be happening, we won't ever know about it until years from now. It'd be, finally the CCP will get overthrown and people will be like, oh yeah, remember back when the coronavirus hit? Yeah, we started at that point and we had a civil war.
And
so
how
look at this.
How does China stop that from happening?
It was America.
Yep.
Let's don't worry, it wasn't us. It was America. They did it. It's like,
and we're here to protect you.
Right, exactly.
You must trust us.
Yeah,
the Americans are doing it.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, man.
It's like they're really, because it's stupid. Like I think it was a Chinese doctor that confirmed that that blew the whistle, but confirmed that it was an animal, like natural in nature.
Of course.
And then like we confirmed it, and like a bunch of doctors around the globe were like, yeah, it's a natural thing. Right. It's not like it was a bioweapon, which now they're pushing, so it's kind of convenient in the time where I saw those last week where people were fighting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you know what, we can kind of wrap up on this point because I think you kind of nailed it. But when the people of China flip over a police, vehicle, these are people who get arrested and tortured for saying naughty words.
Yeah, for saying, I think I think you're stupid, policeman.
Yep.
And then they get beaten till they say sorry, right?
Say sorry 20 times, and they're sitting there like clearly all messed up.
I mean, dude took the riot shield and was beating the other cop with it.
Yeah, man.
You know.
So they need to get a handle on things. It's no surprise they do this stuff. Well, the UK is furious about it, but we do have another story. So the next one, we're gonna bring it back home. I will say, it is so unfortunate that quite literally the only news is coronavirus.
Yeah.
But I'm not kidding. I went to BuzzFeed, and I'm like, BuzzFeed surely has something. And I'm like, dude, when BuzzFeed has nothing else to talk about, like, man, of all the outlets,
You know it's bad.
Yeah, it's just coronavirus. But there's a few stories, and this kind of there's a pastor got arrested because he's ignoring the quarantines and lockdowns. Another pastor died, and he was posting on Facebook things that like he thought it was a hoax or that the numbers didn't add up and stuff like that. And then in Spain, something I was talking about earlier, thousands of feminists ignored warnings and went out and marched on March 8th, and now Spain is like the third worst country. And they actually said that masculinity kills more people than the coronavirus. Yeah. So what I kind of want to talk about in that one is like the ideological, ignorance essentially of people who are refusing to accept it because their ideology is, you know, their tribalism, but also civil liberties. They have a right to protest, right?
I guess
even in the midst of this. So let's do this. Let's jump over to super chats, and then that'll be the next segment we do.
Yeah.
So for everybody that is in the super chat, thank you all so much.
Indeed, thank you.
We will try our best to get to everybody, but sometimes we can't. Just put it in there, and we'll do our best. But also hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe. Let's read what people have to say.
And follow us.
Yes, our names are there. Kyle Buchanan says, if you look back at world history after a major problem with a nation, they go to war. So do you think this one will be any different? There are a lot of factors involved in whether or not a war breaks out, but I think there has to be a hard reason for someone to go into someone else's territory.
Yeah.
Typically it's resources. So if China starts freaking out like we need food, we need something, then South China Sea. We're going to suspend all the...
It is the perfect like brewing pot, dude.
Yep.
You're right.
Yep. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see. So I don't know, man. I don't want to say I'm bullish on it, but I am worried. Matty Bone says, it's not a conspiracy theory about it being a bioweapon, just that it's Chinese and they accidentally released it. Wasn't this tweeted years back? So what was tweeted years back was that there was a news story published in, I can't remember what the source was. It's a legit source saying that Wuhan had a biolab, and there was an international concern because they didn't think the Chinese could handle a level 4 biolab. They thought there would be a breach at some point. And that was 2 years ago. So when it happened, everybody was like, we think they were engineering viruses and it escaped. Not that it was supposed to be a weapon or anything.
Yeah.
None of that is confirmed. I'll tell you what is true. There is a biolab. It was reported on by legit sources. After that, nothing else. It seems, based on South China University, and look, I got to be honest, I don't trust them for the most part, but this is stuff that makes them look bad and counters their official narrative. It seems like there was someone working in the Chinese version of the CDC that got contaminated by a bat. That seems to be at least the best guess we have now.
Yeah, it's plausible.
Yeah, because China's trying to have the narrative be like it has nothing to do with us, and they're saying the U.S. did it. And then some researchers come out and say, actually, we think it was our lab.
Or the dirty wet markets that they have that suddenly China decided to ban all
Right,
wild animal consumption. It's like, what? Now you're going to do it? Now you're going to ban all wild animal consumption?
And the media was claiming it was a conspiracy theory that people were eating bat soup and stuff. And now it's like, now they, you know what, man? The media in our country is garbage. Yeah. They are so far behind what's going on. It is mind numbing. And like, for me, it's like navigating a piece of Swiss cheese. It's like there's holes everywhere, and I'm trying to find the pieces that are legit and putting them all together.
And make a slice of solid cheddar.
Solid cheddar. Well, solid Swiss. All right, let's read some more.
Whatever.
Chase, thanks for becoming a member. Joseph says, do you think we're headed towards World War III? What do you guys think?
I don't think so.
World
but I'm
War
more optimistic than you.
Yeah? Yeah, I'm pretty pessimistic.
So. Yeah. What do you think?
I think so. If we have food shortages, people are going to fight each other. That's a civil war.
And if the economies don't get back on track, Sicily could just be the beginning.
But yeah, I guess the difference would be, is it going to be a world war with countries fighting countries?
Yes.
Or just everybody, humans fighting humans on the world?
We've got the BRICS nations and NATO. We've got big factions that, but it is tough. I mean, Trump has been trying to, repair relations with Russia. If that's what you believe, it seems like it's possible because Hillary was very much adversarial we still are very adversarial with Russia. The media doesn't give Trump credit for like the pushback he's given to Putin and stuff. But if it's true that Trump is trying to, you know, ease relations with Russia, like if there's a world war and it's U.S. and Europe versus like Russia and China, that's going to be devastating. It's not. There's not going to be a clear path. I mean, America's got technological superiority.
Yeah, but
you know what though, I'm willing to bet America's got weapons we can't even think of.
I wouldn't be surprised. You're right.
Like crazy stuff's going to happen. All of a sudden they're going to deploy like exosuits, like Iron Man, crazy like jetpacks, and like you're going to see a whole bunch.
You know the city shield over Asgard that they turn on in Thor. It's like we
you
like
mean over
look outside.
no, Wakanda.
And Wakanda. It's
Asgard didn't have the shield, did they?
Yeah,
they did? Oh, that's right. That's right.
The
Dark
second
World.
one. Yeah,
right.
yeah. So both. So or Wakanda, same thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's like we walk outside and we like look up and there's like this blue halo thing. And we're like, what's
Yeah.
that? And we see like missiles hitting it. We're like, whoa, I guess we're safe.
Iron Dome.
Iron Dome.
Yeah.
Well, the Iron Dome in Israel is like they target the missiles and then blow them out of the sky.
That's so amazing.
Don't we?
It's
I'm pretty sure we
terrifying.
have a whole network of that.
Oh
kind
yeah,
of stuff
dude.
Too.
We have what is it called? SDI, the Strategic Defense Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an old program. I don't know where we're at now, but we were trying to figure out how to counteract a nuclear strike by intercepting missiles. And so in Israel, for instance, they have the Iron Dome defense system.
Okay.
So when rockets come in from Gaza, they have, you know, surface-to-air missiles that pinpoint it and go shoo, boom and blow them out of the sky. That's scary stuff, man. Because I've never seen it myself. I've been to Israel, but it didn't happen when I was there. But you'll be out at a cafe and all of a sudden, boom, explosions in the sky. Yeah, that's scary. And then in South Korea, they have something. I can't remember what it's called. I don't know if it's called like TARP or something. I don't know. But it's similar. Because
Did that happen to you when you were in Israel? Did you actually hear an explosion?
No.
Okay,
No. I went and got falafel and had a good time and, you know, just chilled out.
Yeah, right.
But I know people who were there when they were like, what the, you know, like, oh my God. And they like run and hide and take shelter and the sirens are going off. Yeah. So we wouldn't be sitting here going like, oh, look, a missile. We'd be like, oh, dude. And like we run and hide, man. Like missiles blowing up in the air, dude. Not something you want to experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's grab some more of these super chats. Corto says, I know you're no fan of authoritarians, but how does it make you feel that a particularly authoritarian-leaning person, me, is a big fan of yours? I don't know. I don't care. I have no
appreciative.
Yeah, like I was saying
welcome.
this, as you know, I disagree. You know, I disagree. Is that it?
Yeah,
what are we gonna do?
Everyone's right to disagree.
Two authoritarians would like have a conflict. A libertarian's gonna be like, hey man, like I'm gonna go do my thing. You know, leave me out of it.
Yeah.
But I think I should clarify too. It's little L libertarian, not like big L American libertarian. Because I'm pretty lefty libertarian, and I would probably actually say while I have very libertarian ideals, I'm a liberal in that I do believe in authority. So the easy way to put it is, on a scale of like 1 to 10, if you actually look at the authoritarian libertarian spectrum, if 5 is the middle, 6 is towards authoritarian, 4 is towards libertarian, I'm like a 3.5 or a 4. Meaning,
Well, I thought you were lower than that. Because
idealistically,
I was higher than you on that chart. Someone actually tweeted at me like, "You guys should do the political chart," and we actually have, and that's what he's talking about right now. And I'm a little higher than you, and I think a little to the left. I'm not sure.
But it's idealistic. It's like my perfect world when they ask me these questions.
Yeah.
In the end, I'm like, you need to have some kind of authority, but I don't like the idea of authoritarianism at all.
Yeah.
All right, let's grab some more. Ceylon says, is Lydia waifu? Hold on, it's complicated. Good to see some of you back. Oh, yeah, because you can't see, you didn't have a camera.
Yeah.
Talbot Link says, YouTube pulling some serious S. Had to exit the mobile app, go to the channel in browser, then access history and app to see the stream or announcement. Whoa, really?
What?
Well, thanks
Not
for
fun.
fighting to
man.
see us. I appreciate you.
Oh, here we go. MinMax says, CNN be like, Tim Pool, far-right conspiracy theorist and Zeppelin architect, spills gumbo on his shirt, Soy Jesus watches in anguish. Dude, you know that my Wikipedia said I built a
my best
Zeppelin
try.
for like years.
That's
Wait,
so
what?
cool, though.
My Wikipedia
Seriously?
claimed
Go
that I
with it.
built a Zeppelin for years. What?
Interesting.
It's like the craziest thing.
Why
And
haven't you told me this, Tim?
you didn't know this?
I didn't know
And
this
I-
either.
I know. Why didn't you tell me you built a Zeppelin?
And I tried when I tried being like, can I get someone to fix this? They were like, you're not a good source. And I'm like, I never built a Zeppelin. But
Who would know?
someone wrote it.
You're not a good source.
You're not. That's how Wikipedia works.
They need other people. Well, I'll hit them
So
up.
this is what's
I feel
absolutely.
like you would have included me in this project.
Dude,
Right, you would've
Wikipedia
told me.
Wikipedia is insane.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to do something. If I came out and said I personally believe in free speech, and then someone at Huffington Post says Tim Pool does not like free speech, They would ignore what I said, even though I espoused my belief literally.
Yeah.
I could show someone a picture of my ballot saying, I voted for, Barack Obama. Then Huffington Post can write, but he didn't actually. He voted for, Trump. And then Wikipedia would say, nope, Tim Pool is not a good source. Do not trust the information from him.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, why would I trust the random guy who doesn't know anything about me?
Well, you heard it here. Things on the internet are not always true. If you didn't know that already.
I've complained a lot about this. I even talked to some Wikimedia people.
Wikimedia.
Yeah, Wikimedia is the
Never
bigger
heard
foundation.
that term. Oh, okay.
It's the bigger nonprofit organization.
Oh, all right.
And I was like, you have there's a institutional media bias that exists, which defends fake news from predominantly like left-wing sources, in that if the Washington Post is considered to be a good source, therefore, if someone else writes something and the Washington Post says it's fake, the Washington Post must be telling the truth, proving it's fake. So it's like a default assumption that long-standing newspapers are correct.
That's so circular, though.
Exactly. It's like we know it's true because the New York Times said it's true, and we know the New York Times is true because the New York Times said it's true. Oh. And then so like the New York Times will say like apples are yellow, and then all these other sites will say apples are yellow, and then Wikipedia will say apples are yellow. And then if you actually pick up an apple and say I'm an apple farmer, no, you're not a good source. We got to go to the media for this one. And that perpetuates the insanity of Tim Pool apparently built a Zeppelin. I kid you not. Yep, they think I did. Well, they finally got it removed because people were like, what is this? It was The Guardian or something.
I'm going to get you a little model Zeppelin for Christmas.
Yeah, I think I need
you know what it was, though? I actually know where this came from.
Just a little one that we can have like right here instead of the toilet paper.
But I know where this came from. I was talking with a buddy about how to make a drone that could be deployed from a rooftop remotely anywhere in the world.
Okay.
So let's say like you're in New York and you have an office in Cairo. You could have a Zeppelin on top of, the reason you want to do Zeppelin because of the flight time. You could have it attached to the building charging, and then you could be in New York and you could press a button and it would launch. There would be a latency issue, but you could literally fly it around the city and then press a button and use GPS to set it back. That was the extent to which I have ever talked about a Zeppelin. But apparently some journalists like saw it.
He's secretly building them.
And then gave a telephone with other journalists, and they were like, Tim Pool, who once built a Zeppelin, and then boom.
Is this when you were doing the like basically starting live streaming?
Yeah, like back in 2011.
Yeah, I remember
we did the first ever live broadcast via drone.
Right.
Or live news broadcast via drone, because drones do broadcast, but we streamed it to the web. We did a series of tests, and then I went to an immigration protest, and we were filming live via drone of this protest. And I don't know if they've I think they may have done it. I think CNN may have done it.
Okay.
But I don't think for the most part they've done live broadcasts from the drone. So we actually hacked it. We hacked the video feed from the drone using the software development kit. So basically what it is, you can see all the telemetry data and the code going in, controlling it, and then you get a window of it. And instead of actually programming it, we screen grabbed it and pushed it out to Ustream.
Oh, okay.
And so what most of these companies do, or did, they don't really do the drone stuff anymore, they just recorded it and then uploaded the raw footage later. Okay. So I don't know how many people have actually done live broadcasts.
Well, I mean, as far as the media goes, they probably don't want to do much live stuff because they can't control it. And they like to be in control, I'm sure. Well,
they do live stuff, but it's like they've given up on actually covering the news. All they want to do now is sit at a table and complain about Trump. That's where they make their money, Yeah, let's grab some more. Right. All right, we're going to have to start speeding up, though. Bobcat says, so have you gotten New York Collapse yet? I still highly recommend that book. It seems quite relevant right now. Yeah, sounds interesting.
Haven't gotten it yet.
We'll check it out. The Orange Ninja Turtle. What turns your run-of-the-mill conspiracy theorist that doesn't believe the official story of 9/11 or who killed JFK into an anti-Semite for not believing the official Holocaust story? I don't know. Dark Rengi says, Tim, buddy, thanks for keeping it real and working so hard. I respect you. Also, it's pronounced Rengi. Oh, there you go. Dark Rengi. David says, thoughts on 2A violation, closed LA gun stores. Messed up. Yep. Los Angeles shut them down.
Really?
Yeah. And Trump ordered them essential. Like, look, man, I don't care.
So federally, they're essential.
But I don't know what's going to happen. Okay. I don't know if they're reopening or whatever, but like, dude, the government swoops in. Here comes the authoritarian. We're going to get to the authoritarian stuff in a second, too. So let's speed up. Unknown Millennial says, what's up with that story about Vladimir Zelenko in New York curing 350? Was that fake news? I see it on the Daily Beast. Thoughts? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Apith Movie says, Tim, try eating your gumbo instead of wearing it. Absolutely. I have no idea what anyone's talking about.
I don't know where
I love
that
this
came
gumbo
from.
thing.
I don't know.
I would love to make gumbo. I've actually never made gumbo. I think I
actually
had some.
really like it a lot.
What is it?
That diner makes, it's like beans and pasta.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. Or
it's
maybe
like
not beans.
Rice
It's like a soup.
Yeah, okra and
that
broth
has, maybe rice as well.
Yeah.
Austin says, Tim Pool nightly show on Subverse News Network when? Probably never. I don't think so.
Yeah,
no, we do this
we're
show
doing
here.
this show.
Yeah.
It's our show.
He
Yeah,
does
back.
enough shows. Please
No,
don't
please, no.
give him any
Three
ideas.
3.5 hours every day.
Oh my gosh.
Redbeard says 3 hours and 40 minutes, mind you. Redbeard says, company I work for is defying NC's Executive Order 121 and staying open. We make furniture. Whoa. They're going to come
Furniture
in,
is
man.
not essential.
Matthew Hammond says, Cassandra Fairbanks' article call with Kennedy Center. I saw a little bit of this. Jack Posobiec, I think. I don't know if it was Cassandra, but apparently a whistleblower recorded a phone call with the Kennedy Center. They received like $25 million from the
Right.
stimulus, and people are...
And then didn't they like lay off a bunch of people?
Yeah.
Right afterwards.
Money in the pocket. Line your pockets with gold.
It's
Marcin says, haha, you need to watch the World Health Organization answering questions on Taiwan. Yeah, we talked about it. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to start speeding things up. Mac3N says, nursing homes are getting hit with COVID. I live in Morgantown, West Virginia. Sundale is a local one that was hit hard. Residents and employees are both affected. Them and their families are being harassed. Wow. Student of History says, China's reckoning is imminent. They caused all of this by downplaying this, taking medical supplies and shipping faulty medical supplies. They're going to make a lot of people angry, and the CCP deserves it. Yep. Matthew, thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Ryan Walker says, do you think there will be a legit pushback to China moving forward or back to our old ways? We'll certainly push Trump's message out into reality.
There's no way we're going back the way it was.
No way.
We're going to be
Because
building everything ourselves now.
Trump's approval is going way up.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people who are begrudgingly accepting it, but there's also a lot of people who are waking up to how much the media lies.
True.
And they're also realizing how vulnerable we are and how scary it is.
That's, I think, the biggest factor out of all of it.
Brent Hutchinson says, hey, Adam, once you finish Doom Eternal, check out Shadow Warrior 1 and 2. They're great games in a similar vein as Doom. Should also scratch the same itch for anyone who can't afford retail price games.
All right, Shadow Warrior. I'll check it out.
All right, I'm going to speed up a little bit. Brett Marino, thanks for becoming a member.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's see. Annoyed Moderate says, Tim, can you please say China in your best Trump voice?
Yes.
I can't do a particularly good Trump
That's
voice, I
pretty
don't think.
Jada.
China.
Jada.
Yes.
You're going downhill. The
Going
first
down.
one was the best.
No, it was not good. I can't do. Trump is really hard to do impressions of. I got to be
It's
honest.
challenging, yeah.
Like there's a lot of people I'm really good. I'm like I can just get it. Trump is
You do better
tough.
Trump than I do.
I don't know.
I've never actually tried, but I don't want to try.
Yeah.
It'd be horrendous.
Joseph Metzler says China sending out bad products is nothing new. There is a U.S. website for recalls. China is almost all of them. Their chemical, farms, drums, and PPE cause injuries every year. My experience as a hazmat worker. I mean, we actually have a meme in this country going back to when I was a kid where stuff would be say like made in China and it would break.
Yeah.
Like that's like it was a joke, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, well known.
All right, let's see. Lotus and Meyer, thanks for becoming a member.
Thank you.
Bones says China nationalized some of U.S. companies to give them medical PPE first, yet not a peep from the mainstream media. We only won World War II because our factories were unharmed. This will lose World War III. Whoa, scary. Tyler says China, Russia, and Iran could be prepping their own populaces for war by spreading claims that we released a bioweapon on them. Exactly, that's what we are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Indist says from Sydney, Australia, restrictions passed last night with immediate effect. 2-person gathering limits. Whoa, in Sydney, two-person gathering limits and no non-essential travel with $11,000 fine and 6 months in jail for non-compliance. What if the reason they're giving such heavy-handed like quarantines and stuff is more so because they're concerned about war? They want everyone locked down. They want to know where everyone is, because this is like, I mean, these are draconian measures we're seeing starting to be implemented, especially for liberal democracies like us. And no, liberal democracy doesn't mean left. It means like freedom and of liberty.
Right.
But I did a video once about like how America is a liberal democracy. And I had a bunch of people hitting me up being like, we are not a liberal country. We are a conservative constitutionalist. And I'm like, that's not what it means. Come on. All right, let's read more. Matt says, y'all probably consider me a conspiracy nut at this point, but I really do get a strong gut feeling that the disinfo we're seeing from China is just the prologue to actual war. World on the brink. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's not a conspiracy theory at all. Like a lot of people are I'm talking to journalists. I'm talking to people who work in Intel, and they're saying like, what are the chances of this? Because we've been worried about it for a long time. Like I'm telling you, man, when I was working for the ABC News Univision company, there were journalists there talking about China invading and like doing these things in other countries. We've known. Gregory says, hey guys, just got my DD-214 on the 26th. I joined the Washington National Guard to help out against coronavirus.
Thank you.
We'll never turn on Americans. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Petro says, cheaters are the first to accuse someone of cheating. This virus is already showing signs of being a bioweapon, and they're trying to get ahead of the curve. Maybe. There's been some speculation, but I don't think we've confirmed anything. But I will say this. There's no point in speculating or saying it is, because they will use that against us. What we need to do is talk about the effects, our solution to it, and where it originated. The facts are on our side. It started in China, and they lied. If we start playing this game where we're like,
They're still lying.
They're still lying too, and it's costing lives. If we play the game where we start accusing them of a bioweapon, that's when it discredits you, because you need hard evidence for that.
Yeah, when I was talking earlier about the back and forth, it's like we got to just stop the back and forth and not keep escalating it back and forth till then it becomes a war.
It's not that. Look, if you go to a regular person and say, I bet it was a bioweapon, they're going to say, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
If you say, it started there, they lied to us, and they're still lying to us, and now our people are dying, they're going to be like, whoa. Like, yeah, I know. That's clearly provable.
Yeah.
So that's where we should go. If we get evidence that's fine. There's, look, even the official best case scenario that would prove China's lying is that they just had a breach from a lab. That would be and not a bioweapon. Like some guy was doing research and then they're bad at what they do.
Or the wet markets are just gross places that are just petri dishes waiting to explode.
Oh, totally, man.
And
gutter oil.
Someone eats a rat or a bat or something that had it in it. And
what's the other one? Hantavirus or something?
Yeah, but
from
that's
eating rats or something.
Been around for a while.
Though. Well, yeah, but I just mean like when you eat nasty stuff.
So
yeah, man.
And the fact that they finally implemented the banning of eating wild animals. It's just like the timing is crazy. Like,
well, they have to. It's to save face for sure.
Are they saving face? Because it's like you think that they would. Yeah, it's all about saving face. That's why they're lying. Yeah, you're right. Totally.
Swampy says, Nostradamus said the world as we knew it would end in 2012. It wasn't Armageddon. But think about it. Society in the world has changed drastically since 2012. Maybe he wasn't wrong. Was it Nostradamus? It was the Mayans' calendar who ended in 2012. I don't know about Nostradamus.
Well, that's just the great year resetting.
Right.
It has nothing to do with
it's
the
like
end of the world.
It's like someone saying the world ends December 31st because the calendar ends. It's like, no, January 1st is next.
Yeah, the year ends.
Right.
Right.
Shun Rayuenji Matoi, sorry, man. While it may be a conspiracy theory that China plotted this from the start at the cost of their constituents in silencing Hong Kong, the trade war and claiming how good they are by the insane left. Mena, thanks for becoming a member. Brian says, Murphy enacted executive order closing gun shops and NICS background checks a week ago. Today, he reversed half of it, opening gun stores, still leaving the NICS system down. You need it to purchase a gun, clear violation of 2A. Murphy, that's New Jersey, isn't it? That's where we are.
I don't know.
I mean, dude, it's so hard to get a gun in New Jersey. You have to write an essay.
So. I could write an essay. I kind of want to.
Come on. Why do I have to write an essay to you? You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean you. I mean like the government.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna write anything to you. You have to justify why you need it. What? Get out of here. I don't need to justify anything. It's you know what I'll do? I'll write the Constitution. That's what I'll write.
What's the reason? Well, it's my right. Okay, good enough reason.
Second Amendment. Submit.
It's like getting your weed card in California. Well, I'm stressed at life. All right, there you go. Because, period. All right, there you go.
Yeah. All right, Brian M. says, China is an economic built society. A combat war would never work against them. Just too many numbers on both sides. Financial stress is the only and best way to beat them and get their attention. Trump is doing it pretty well so far.
Well, I think that's kind of why we're bringing it to the brink, because he is. I mean, this whole thing is like a microscope on the fact that we don't do anything for ourselves, and I bet every American out there is like, we need to do it ourselves and bring it back to America. It's like, China's probably like, that's where all our income comes from.
You know what's really funny? I'm sure you will find, so Donald Trump comes out and says hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine shows we're seeing studies with promising results.
Yeah.
And he's literally touting some preliminary research that is promising that could cure this disease, and the media comes out against him. There was a joke that Trump could cure cancer and they would find some way to make it negative. And now Trump literally comes out and said, there were studies.
Yeah.
Numerous countries were like, these things,
and it does,
may work.
I saw the charts. It does show that it drops off everything within 3 days.
It's fair to say it's preliminary.
Yeah.
But for the media to come out and be like, how dare Trump? He's not a doctor.
Well, they had the perfect story because that couple.
Guy who ate fish cleaner?
Yeah, drank it.
But Trump literally said at the press conference, I had to watch it twice today to make sure I had my facts straight. And he was like, we're hoping to make it available by prescription. The FDA will be moving as quickly as possible to make it almost immediately available.
Right.
And then he talked about how these treatments have been approved before for other things, so we know that you won't die if you take them. So we're hoping we can go quickly.
Yeah.
The media writes all this fake news attacking him.
Of course.
It's like that's how insane it is.
It's like, but it has been a
And now
prescription that you can get.
Right.
I think it. What is it? Not schizophrenia. What kind
Lupus, rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah. Right.
And other autoimmune disorders, but the FDA has now approved it. Boom. And now what are they going to do? Now it's like, you know what, man? It's just, yeah. Student of History says, where is the hard line with China in your opinion? Also saw an old video of you with Vice, and all I have to say is Vice is dead. Long live the beanie. CCP virus.
Amen.
The hard line
live
for
the
me,
beanie.
I don't know what the hard line is, man, because I'm a very like anti-war kind of person, but China's got
Same.
a camp full of 1 million people where they steal their organs.
Yeah, that's nuts.
You know what's funny is these activists on the left talk about, there's this saying, if you ever wondered what you'd be doing in World War II Germany, you're doing it right now. Every day, Donald Trump, blah, 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 blah. That's what they say.
Seriously?
They actually, it's because like Trump is caging children. It's like, oh, please, Obama was the deporter in chief. Like, you're not going to play that argument with me, dude. I'm not interested. Like, I'll be critical of it for sure, but I don't believe you actually care.
Yeah.
But now people are saying back to them, if you ever wondered what you'd be doing in World War II Germany, you're doing it right now, because China has 1 million plus people in a concentration camp where they harvest organs, and you are doing nothing and saying nothing.
Yep.
Exactly. So these people want to act all high and mighty. And look, I'll be honest, I don't know what I can do. I complain about it a lot. We're in America, so we have a constitution, but yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Where are we at? We just had a big super chat jump because YouTube loves to. Yeah, YouTube loves to do this, so it makes it really hard.
Well, appreciate everybody. Thanks for coming out. I know we weren't here Friday, but
oh man, we
it's
got
good
a
to be
ton
back.
of super chats in.
For those wondering, the
There we
toilet
go.
paper is sitting here. We explained it when we first got here. Someone
yeah.
sent us a nice care package of a bunch of different food items and a nice 4-pack.
And we decided to put it here to brag to you know, it's basically like, we know you ain't got any toilet paper, we got toilet paper. Oh, you're so jealous. And also to say, if you want it, you gotta pay. No, I'm just kidding. It's just funny. Someone sent it to us. We appreciate it. All right, here we go. GS says China buying supplies is insider trading. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Augustine Uribe says, I hope it will not come to war, but as a soldier who has trained with forces all over the globe and observed the capabilities of our opposing countries, I know we can win. It will be a terrible cost, but we would prevail. At least I hope so. Shire says, as I've said before, China owns 1.1 trillion in U.S. bonds. We can cancel those bonds and recover some of our tax dollars. Also, the truth will only come out if the CCP falls. Oh, you know it.
Yeah, exactly.
John Monk says, New York Times reported leaked Pentagon plan 3 days ago to launch major military campaign against Iranian militias in Iraq. COVID-19 be darned. My wife is deployed. Hope Trump says no to this insanity.
Man,
I hope so too.
never heard of that, but
David, thanks for the super chat. Nope says, wars are hard to justify when dealing with nuclear powers. There is a reason there was never a direct conflict between the U.S. and USSR. Could face cyber trade and proxy wars with China to hurt them. Jay, thanks for becoming a member.
thank you.
Kyle says, I keep seeing articles of people dying from complications due to coronavirus. What exactly does this mean? Do you want to explain that?
Yeah,
Lydia?
I don't know about it.
So I'd assume that complications related to coronavirus would be pretty much all of the ways that you could die of coronavirus in a hospital.
Like
the
suffocating?
fact that you can't breathe.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Like,
That's what, yeah.
That's just basically how they say you died of coronavirus.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sean says, EU civil war more likely than anything else. When Spain and Italy decide to no longer pay the dues and Germany and France send an army to force them to, the rest of the EU nations pick sides. I agree.
Yeah, didn't even think about that.
Yep. Harry Batensky says, thanks for the great stories. Stay safe and ration the toilet paper. Oh, we will.
We will.
Not looking.
We're gonna divvy it up
Yeah.
after the show.
Everybody gets one ply. Not looking forward to when the Chinese run out of food. Supposedly a swarm of locusts heading to China. Fake news. And yes, Asgard had a shield. Oh, it's heading. Yeah, it was in Egypt and
That's
it's
not
making its
fake.
way through the Middle East.
Yeah, worst timing ever too,
It's
man.
a plague, man. This is, terrifying. Hikage says, keep up the good work, man. What you do is important. Appreciate it. Kaj says, soy Jesus, World War III is inevitable. War brought our economy back from the Great Depression. And if our economy tanks because of Chinese plague, war will bring our economy back again. China started this. Bra says, bought some toilet paper today only because it looked like it was out of stock. Always look, don't assume. Love your content. P.S. Caps isn't yelling. Appreciate it. What does it say? Okay, well, Annie says, take a look at Dr. Warren Farrell. He has talked about the boy crisis and how fatherless homes have negative effects on the development of children growing
love
up
him.
and how culture worsens some problems. I am familiar. Yeah, we'll check him out. Benito says, what's up, Beanie Bros and Lydia of Whiterun? Oh, yeah. Thank you. XI says USAF has wild weasel squadrons in South Korea and Japan. WW pilots wait for missiles to be fired, then fire their own missiles at the enemy ground radar and then evade the enemy. Whoa!
Dang.
Wild weasel pilots. Gnarly.
Boss.
Jean McLeod says a YouTuber, Mr. Reagan, has a friend that says Italy is fudging their death numbers. The friend had a grandma die of cancer, but the doctor wrote down death as CCP virus. Do you have friends in Italy that can confirm this? No, but I have heard the exact same rumor from several different people, and I don't believe it's real.
Yeah.
I don't know who Mr. Reagan's sources or anything like that, so there's nothing on him. But outside of anything he does, because I'm not trying to impugn the honor or credibility, I have had people say to me like, dude, my friend's grandma died of cancer and they claimed it was this. And I'm like, that's funny because like 7 people have all said the same thing to me. My friend's grandma, It's very much like the text messages that were going around where it was like, my friend works for the military and they said Trump's going to do this. Everybody got the text. Everybody was sending it and they all were claiming it was their friend in the military doing it.
Right.
So look, before his video came out, I already had 3 people tell me that their friend or family member or, friend of a friend in Italy died of something, died of cancer, and then they recorded it as something else. So it could be a sign that they're actually doing it because it's happening a lot. Or it could be kind of strange that people keep saying, my friend's grandma died, my friend's grandma died, my friend's grandma died. And I'm like, at the 3rd or 4th time I hear about someone's friend's grandma dying, I'm kind of like, did someone just claim that's what happened? And you're acting like it's your friend when it's actually just you repeating someone else's, know.
I'm pretty sure they can tell if it's a death by coronavirus.
Well, it's not just that. It's like if someone has a pre-existing condition like cancer and the coronavirus kills them, wouldn't they say it was a complication due to the coronavirus, a death with a pre-existing condition?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is it possible the person was immunocompromised because of the cancer?
Right.
So,
exactly.
Whatever.
Good point.
Mr. Paul says, the enigmatic disconnected voice Lydia is correct. Gumbo is with okra. Soy Jesus won't like the next chicken and sausage with rice. Lydia needs camera. We're getting there. We actually have the camera. We just need to actually start, building stuff and getting it ready. Saikia Dargan says, Chinesium is what we have, call it forever. For crap from China and just Google gumbo, pick New Orleans or other Southern. Will do. Paxton Fairbanks says, if this breaks out into war with China, then I will never be convinced General MacArthur was wrong when he wanted to continue through NK to Beijing. Yikes. All right. Did we just have a big jump again? Where are we at? So YouTube likes to do this. Here we go. Paxton says, Accursed Farms did a video about Star Trek TNG episode that is mirroring what is happening now. Would like to see your opinion on it. However, it does not bring me hope. Ooh, I want to watch that. What episode is it?
I don't remember that episode.
Yeah, what episode was it? We'll figure it out.
Not sure.
Who did you say? Accursed Farms. We'll take a look at that. Suba Bam Bam says, our insurance company for where I work said they would pay for the testing for COVID, but not for treatment. Well, at least you know, right? Sumner Robertson says, is it more beneficial for you if I become a member or donate weekly? Well, I'll tell you guys what we used to do. We used to be heavy on the membership, but there were, there's a lot of challenges with maintaining it. And we wanted to make sure we had the podcast available on various platforms, which kind of negates the purpose of like making someone pay. So now it's just unlisted every day. Super Chat's probably the best way to do it. But there was also a challenge with overlap between my content and the content we do for the show because it's not necessarily the same thing. Like, I don't want to get too much of the details, but if you like the show, contribute to the show, and that's the easiest way to put it. Super Chats are probably better if you do them more often. YouTube takes a huge cut, by the way. So I don't honestly just, do what you want to do to help out the show, and it's appreciated.
And like, subscribe, and share. Maybe that'll help a lot too. Yeah. Spread it.
Stu, sharing definitely helps. Spread the word. Stu Bird, thanks for coming a member. Cliff says, when you can, take a look at the YouTube channel Dr. Mike. He's a real medical doctor from New York, and I find him very reliable. He just interviewed Dr. Fauci. When this is over, you should try to get him on the podcast. Sounds good. Brian, thanks for becoming a member.
Thanks.
Andrew Simmons says, the main problem with the idea that there would be a World War III, the USA will not go after population centers. There is no hate for Chinese citizens. Unlike World War II's us versus them mentality, war is different today. Absolutely.
That's a really good point, yeah.
Some grumpy goat says, hey, Tim, hope you're all doing well. If this tussle between US and China continue, by 2077, our currency will be bottle caps. I completely agree.
Or toilet paper.
Possibly toilet paper.
Yeah.
I'm going to get rid of this, though.
Or water. You're going to take it out? Why? It was a good centerpiece.
Well, I mean, we're going to have a different segment.
It's
so
a conversation starter.
It's fine for the first one, but.
And that brings me to the next story and a potential controversial subject. Civil rights in an era of, global pandemic. What you see now on your screens is a story from U.S. News. Thousands march in Spain on Women's Day despite coronavirus fears, March 8th, the day before my birthday. Tens of thousands of feminists in Spain did not care, ignored the warnings of the coronavirus. Many of them probably didn't know. And they marched side by side in a massive crowd.
That is a huge crowd.
That is a huge crowd. Look at that picture. And at the time, hindsight is 2020. So at the time, they didn't really think anything of it. Oh, a couple hundred. It was 600 or so people who had the coronavirus. Now Spain is one of the hardest hit areas. So it's easy to look back and claim how stupid these people were. And I certainly think I think they deserve criticism. This was at a time when we already had China locking down the entirety of their country, and people were really concerned it was going to get bad. But it's not just about the feminists. It's also about the pastors. A Florida pastor was arrested after ignoring coronavirus emergency orders and bringing crowds to his church. There is, a bunch of studies, a bunch of polls, I should say, came out showing the left is more willing to adhere, to the warnings, I guess, and the right is less likely to.
Okay.
Because many people on the right feel that the media is just trying to drum up fear for either ratings or to make Trump look bad. This results in a lot of people on the right downplaying things.
Makes sense.
So, even though the funny thing is, I feel like the right also got roped into this. They got baited because Trump actually started the task force on the 29th, banned travel on the 31st, I think. And the media was still saying, nah, ignore Trump. He's a xenophobe. He's overreacting. It's not the flu is worse. And then finally, when Trump and his supporters started buying into what they were saying, oh, we don't think it's that bad, the media flipped and then started saying, we got you.
Yeah.
And then it made Trump double down. He's like, it's the fake news. And it made sense because if you have a media saying everything's fine, and then you say everything must be fine, but then they start accusing you saying everything's wrong, you're like, I don't believe you. You're just lying to make me look bad. And so now we have this, basically this thing basically happening. But it actually does get kind of a bit more sad. A pastor who claimed COVID-19 hysteria was a plot against Trump dies from the virus. So this one actually makes me sad.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Serious bummer. Now
he actually died on the way home too. He wasn't even home. He was on his way back from
the hospital.
Yeah, he was in New Orleans, and doing some sort of spreading the word, and he caught the virus and was on his way back, and like halfway home, he collapsed and went to a hospital right there. And I think it was like the next day. Yeah,
like that fast.
Yeah, so it really is a sad story. Yeah,
man. Yeah. So look, we were talking about this earlier, and I was like, making fun of a large group of feminists is like, who's really going to complain? It's like a group of people. It's not an individual. None of them like necessarily lost their lives or anything.
Yeah.
But this is like a dude. And so this stuff kind of worries me that if people aren't going to take it seriously or they're going to, downplay it, and then they're going to end up losing their lives, this makes me sad. This is a human being. This is an individual who, at least according to this, to Patheos, had an incorrect view of how serious this was. And I hope people take this stuff seriously. I don't know. Do you want to read the story? And
I mean, no, not really. We pretty much covered it already. It's pretty much a bummer. I mean, he was basically believing the media or not believing the media. Like, no, this is just some thing against Trump, and Trump's telling me it's okay, so I'm going to go out and keep doing it. And believing that the Lord was going to keep him protected, which is obviously not true. Or like that other article we just had. What did the pastor Rodney Howard Brown told his followers there was a plan to shut down Christianity and that God might replenish their low supply of toilet paper. It's just like,
is that I almost don't believe it though. I gotta be serious.
It does.
It's tough to believe.
It is tough to believe. You're right. But you know what's crazy? That same day that the feminists marched is the same day. I just checked it out. Is the same day the Smurf gathering in France.
What?
These people,
yeah,
man.
I had to look it up. I was like, no way. Is it the same time? Because it was right around our birthday.
I'll tell people what the Smurf thing was because they probably don't know.
Right. So actually in France, the same day as this feminist gathering was the Guinness World Record of the largest Smurf gathering of people dressed up as Smurfs. So and sure enough, two or 3 days later, France's COVID-19 cases spiked up.
Well, but the incubation period's a couple weeks.
True, that's a good point. Or maybe it wasn't a day or two later. I don't know exactly, but I remember having a conversation with you like, oh, I saw France is spiking now, and I'm like, what happened recently? Oh yeah, there was that Smurf gathering, and it's like, what is up with these people gathering? It's like they didn't believe it,
Right.
Like,
but I don't,
I don't. You can't blame the media because the media flip flops. Sometimes they're saying it's crazy. Sometimes they're saying Trump's lying. It's not so bad. It's just the flu.
No, I blame the media.
Okay.
They flip flop when it's convenient, so they can get traffic.
That's a good.
That way
point.
they can simultaneously, like you can Google search something like Los Angeles is a paradise and Los Angeles sucks, Vice.com, and see Vice writing both articles.
Yeah.
They do it because they want to capture the entirety of the audience. So then what ends up happening is people don't trust the media. They assume everything the media is saying is a lie. And then so if a story comes out that's actually important, they won't actually believe it, right? So a lot of people end up not believing it. They'll fall victim to this. But I'm not super concerned about whether or not people choose to believe the media or not. The bigger question here is, should the pastor be arrested for telling his congregation to come together? Should the feminists be, broken up? Should the event be shut down because of the coronavirus? Should people have a right to peacefully assemble? Should people have a right to go on Facebook and post memes saying they don't think it's real?
I can't say no. Yes, people should always have the rights, but people should be smart. It's like it doesn't make sense to be going out and when this is going on. It's like I don't understand why they would want to still. It's like, yes, I get, coming together for a reason, like the feminist march makes a lot more sense to me than the Smurf gathering. It's like that
right.
very easily been postponed. There seemed to be a lot more people. This was in Spain. Is that where it was?
Yeah, the feminist march.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
It's like that was a lot of people. I wouldn't have expected that many people in Spain. It's like, but I guess so. It's like,
totally. That's
in a
big
pandemic.
lefty.
I'm sorry, in a pandemic.
But it wasn't a pandemic at the time.
Oh, okay.
Or actually, was it?
It was.
I'm pretty
It
sure
was.
Yeah,
I think it was.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Right,
because we were
right.
talking about the Smurf thing. Like, what are these people doing? Like,
Or it was an
why?
outbreak at least. Let's figure out when the pandemic actually was declared.
I'm looking it up now.
Because it was March 8th. They went out protesting.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the bigger question. Trump was talking about hard quarantining us. That was freaky.
Yeah.
We're like, whoa, dude.
Yeah, you freaked out there for a little bit.
Well, but I mean,
Thinking about it
for good reason.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, what are they gonna do? Close the bridges?
Right.
How do where do we go? Like, what do we? Are we trapped?
And what goes through? Like the food trucks? Is that the only thing that is allowed to pass through? Like, okay.
So Dr. Fauci and other medical experts talked to Trump and said it was a bad idea. So they issued a strong travel advisory. Because if they did announce a hard quarantine, people would flee this state so fast they couldn't do anything about it. It would cause just pandemonium.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like if there was, the National Guard on the bridge and there was like, I don't know what that would entail. Like, would they just park a couple trucks and like have it just,
No
like
idea.
you were saying, like turn around, go back, like have like some sort of turnaround system. But like if enough people wanted to get over that bridge, they're going to make it over that bridge.
I think we're still close to that happening. Like China locked everything down. That's why you saw the riots. So yeah, if in China they're going to riot and flip over a police vehicle and bash people's shields,
well, I feel
people here would.
I mean, I don't know for certain, but knowing the temperature in China, like not actual temperature, but just like the environment of China, CCP versus the people, basically, it's just like we've seen it in the past. A lot of the people in China they're used to this. Right.
The government will oppress you. You can't do anything about it. In the U.S., we're rebellious, hard-headed, you to the government kind of people.
What generation, though? What generation in China is used to it,
All of them.
It feels like there's younger, like some sort of young, like
right.
all the whistleblowers are younger generations. They're not old people. They're younger people. Like
because they have access to
younger,
better access.
meaning like probably like in their 30s or 40s. It seems like, they seem younger, But, and those are the people that I saw fighting. It wasn't a bunch of old people fighting the police. It was like a younger generation fighting.
All right, so here's the question. First, well, I'll get to the serious question. We have another story here from BuzzFeed. They were opposed to government surveillance. Then the coronavirus pandemic began. As nations around the world take on sweeping new powers to fight the disease, critics aren't sure what's necessary and what's too far. I don't necessarily want to read this, but it's just I want to highlight that the conversation is here. We are seeing an expansion of federal authorities. We are seeing in Maryland 1 year in jail and a $5,000 fine up to if you violate their stay-at-home order. And they've announced in the decree it's indefinite until they say so.
Man.
In Virginia, they said until June 10th.
This is all I see is like a lot of people, even people that I know, I'm sure a lot of people out there are staying in. They are abiding by the quarantine and like trying to stay in and only go out when needed. But then we got all these stupid spring breakers and like, you know, people gathering, going. Like I have a lot of friends in New York that are posting pictures of the park, and there's mad people in the park.
Yeah, totally. Of course.
Like, no one cares. And it's like, they're the reason, the people that are going out to the parks, I mean, are the reason that this is going on. This is getting worse and worse because them just going, let's just quarantine, please just stay inside. That's not working.
And so what? The only answer is hard enforcement. It's a violation of the First Amendment.
I agree. I you know, but it's like,
right.
You know, what is, you know, where's the line? It's like,
here's the question.
Man, it's
I'll give you a scenario. It's 10 a.m. You hear a knock on the door. You walk to the door, open it up, and there's a guy in, you know, military uniform with his hands behind his back. Next to him is a doctor, and he's got a needle, and he flicks it, and he says, "Mr. Krigler, you're shot. Your arm, please." What do? Do you say, "Yes, sir. Please inject me with this unknown foreign substance. I'll just trust you"? Or do you say, "I'm not letting you put that. Who are you? You're not my doctor. I didn't know you. I don't know who you are."
I mean, I would definitely deny that because if they're going to do that, it's going to be, you know, at a hospital or some sort of like, you know, tent that set up.
Let's say they announce, in order to lift the quarantine, everyone's got to get a vaccine, and you get a card in the mail, and it says you must arrive to this, you know, makeshift FEMA emergency camp at 10 a.m. You show up, a bunch of people in line one at a time, and they walk up, they prick you in the arm. Next person, they just keep giving everyone vaccines. Would you walk in and just take the shot from the government? I
think so.
I don't know if I would.
I say that begrudgingly because I'm the same as you. Like I need to know research. I need to know what's going on. I need to have all the details. I want to see all the tests. I want to know that it's been proven and that it works, you know, and if I'm not getting that, I'm going to be hesitant. But if every single person is getting it and they're not giving me a choice, it's like, what is the choice then?
Right.
You know?
That's authoritarianism. I know. That's terrifying.
I agree.
Do you stand on your principles and say, like, so here's the issue, right? So we talked about this before. I've gotten a ton of vaccinations because when I would travel around, like, you got to do it, man. You don't want to get yellow fever or like typhus or something.
Definitely.
So I got no problem. I went to the doctor. I was like, give it to me, you know. And you know what's crazy is one of them, I think it was the Hep A shot.
Okay.
Goes in your skin.
Ooh.
Like
really?
So, yeah.
Like not all the way, just like a little.
They go sideways into your skin, and that hurt. He was like, "This one's gonna hurt the most," and I'm like, "All right." And I was like, "Wow, that did hurt the most." It doesn't hurt that bad.
So it's interesting though that you would freely just take these vaccines that have already been proven. When
long-standing, lots of data.
True, right? Lots of data.
Now we have a bumbling government.
It feels like they have everything they can on this because I still believe that they're freaking out. The reason one of the reasons, because there's many reasons I'm sure they're freaking out, is because it's hitting the generation that's in charge.
Right, of course.
You know, so they're really trying to figure this out so they can have a vaccine soon.
Let's do it another way. Let's say the government showed up and badges verified. You're like, it's very obviously the government, and they said, we want you to take this pill of hydroxychloroquine and this pill of azithromycin right now. Would you take it?
No, I don't have the disease. I don't.
No. They said we found it's prophylactic. We want everyone to take it, and it'll protect you. And this is the official thing. Don't worry about a vaccine. Just take these pills, and you're good to go. And we're going door to door to administer this.
Okay. Can I ask? Do they watch me, or can I pop it in my mouth and be like,
no, they're right there. Like,
and then
put it in your mouth. Take it.
All right. Put it in my mouth and
no, they want you to take it.
The
reason I'm asking it this way is...
Hide it in the closet for if I do get it.
The reason I'm asking this way is because what people need to understand about my reticence is that the media just spent the past several weeks telling me that these treatments were dangerous and will kill you.
That's a good point.
So now if the government says...
Hey, it actually does work.
I'm going to be like, I don't know, BuzzFeed told me it'll kill me. I'm not going to take that pill. Are you nuts? And it's BuzzFeed's fault, not mine.
Well, I don't believe the media, and hopefully a lot of people... I mean... Seriously, a lot of people are learning that the media is crazy and not paying attention to it anymore.
Look, a ton of sites told me that the drug touted by Trump will kill you. And I just heard a story about a man in Arizona who took the drug and died. And they're going to try and explain to me it's not true. And I'm going to be like, blame BuzzFeed.
Yeah, blame the media.
Blame these sites that were lying this whole time.
And that he took the drug, I say in quotes, because it wasn't.
This is a real conundrum, though, because look, man. There's a lot of people who are anti-vaxxers for really strange reasons, like they see memes and they believe fake things.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who ask legitimate questions and get smeared in the press as being anti-vax. Like one of the things that comes up is they ask, I don't think my child should be forced by the government to medicate in order to go to school. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting point. You can believe that vaccines work and they're very important, but not like the idea of the government forcing you to medicate.
Okay.
I certainly don't like the idea of government mandated medication. That sounds insane. It's like 1984 or worse.
Yeah.
The government doctor shows up. Here's your pill for the day. Nah, not interested. So the challenge now is we have a pandemic.
Yeah.
People are dying.
Yes, they are.
Vaccine sounds like it'd be a pretty good thing.
I agree.
I would like to not get the coronavirus and have my lungs explode, right?
Yeah.
But it's a question of, if we just give in today, what does that mean for tomorrow? If we just say, like, I don't care if the government forces us to medicate, then at what point are they just like, it's a normal thing, everyone medicates, take your pills, shut up.
And get your chip when you're born.
Yep.
Because it's normal.
Ain't
no thing.
I don't think the chip thing will ever really catch on, though. It's like, I feel like the implant chip idea, which exists, and it's not a conspiracy theory. There are companies and people actually voluntarily get the chips in their hands. It's like in Back to the Future, in part 2, when they go to the future and they see like the hologram of the shark and like the self-lacing shoes. It's an archaic view of what the future would be. What didn't they predict? Cell phones. They hit a hoverboard because they had skateboards and they're like, what if a skateboard could float?
Yeah.
And so they imagined that we invented cell phones and now we can have access to the summation of human knowledge anywhere we are and use it to look at pictures of cats and argue with strangers.
Yeah.
But we don't have self-lacing clothes. I think the chip in people's skin is basic. It's the equivalent of that. It's like 20 years ago, they were like, what if you had a chip that could do these things? And now we have cell phones and we're like, I can just
Nike did actually build the shoes.
I know.
They're a little expensive, though. Not worth it.
But I can just wave my phone over the door and the door opens, right?
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned smartphones and chips because in China they are requiring you to have a little green barcode before you go back to work.
Really?
What's a little green barcode? What do you
It's
mean?
on your phone.
Ah,
You have to scan it. I saw them. I literally saw a video of them scanning.
But what does that do? Like,
It tells them that you're cleared. You went to the doctor. You got the okay, and they take your temperature.
Oh,
Of
man.
course.
dude, I would not want to live in a place like China.
China's an authoritarian state.
Yeah, we
so
knew that. Yeah.
I guess it's not really
Combination of
surprising.
The chip and the smartphone.
And we're also seeing how it doesn't really work.
It doesn't.
It is not great.
The system can only handle so much, but I will say a surveillance state makes it substantially more likely the authoritarian regime stays in power.
That's a good point.
If people can't assemble and communicate without being shut down,
Yeah.
there you go. So that's why we have the First Amendment, right? The right to peaceably assemble so we can talk about these ideas and push back.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're surveilling us, the moment you send a text message where you're like, I don't like this, they come for you. They snatch you up.
yeah, like we saw in that one movie,
Which movie?
The Hunt.
Oh yeah, The Hunt.
Oh, we
yeah,
watched The Hunt.
we should talk about that.
We
Should we?
should.
Forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Should we talk about The Hunt?
We should.
Well, yeah, we
All right,
should.
let's do
Good.
this.
Yeah, that'd
Let's
be
do that
fun.
next.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're going to talk about The Hunt, the movie where liberals kidnap conservatives and then hunt them for sport.
Yeah.
All right, but first we'll grab some of these super chats. We'll try to make it go quick. But there's a ton of super chats, you guys. I really, really appreciate all the super chats.
I just got a burst of energy that we're going to talk about something
Yeah,
other than
man.
coronavirus.
Yeah, I'm
I was
excited.
like, yes, a movie.
I'm glad I remember that.
A movie we watched. And it wasn't
And then
bad.
The Hunt was great. I was surprised how good
I
it was.
was really
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised.
Well, let's grab these super
All
chats.
right, yeah.
All right. Where are we at? Cliff says, when you can, take a look. Oh, we talked about that one. Okay. All right, let's see where we are. Some grumpy go. I think we got you. Yes. Samuel Farmer says, all the my friend's grandma people aren't making it up. It's just one guy they all know. So only one grandma, but all his friends are saying it, so it seems like more. That's a really good point.
6 degrees.
It-
Isn't
yeah,
it?
it could
Or
be one
7
person.
degrees? 6
Like-
degrees
Yeah.
separation.
Auntie Smith's son, or Auntie
Jemima.
No, what's an Italian name? I don't know.
I don't
A
Giovanni.
female? Yeah.
There you go.
Giovanna.
Has a son named Giovanni, and he's a really popular guy who knows everybody. He told
Yeah.
all his 10,000 friends. They tell everybody, and everyone
No, we
thinks
all
it's
know.
10,000
That's
grandmas.
it. That's the whole world.
10,000 grandmas later.
Steven says, China is a paper tiger. China has not seen war in decades. Troops are ill-equipped. They spend more time learning propaganda than military training. Military branches don't have central coordination.
Yes, but they stole all our ideas, and they have more men than women.
Well,
And so
There you
those
go.
are my two arguments.
All right, let's see. Where are we at? There we go. All right. Sumner says, I know YouTube takes some of the money when you do memberships, but I was wondering if you received 100% of the money via donations. I know you're not making as much money as normal, so I wanted to help. The stuff on my website is like, I think if you go to timcast.com/donate, it's like 3% goes to PayPal. But I do want to stress this show is entirely different, right? So my show is, you're supporting my shows directly. If you want to support the whole crew, then giving to Super Chat and membership supports the crew.
Yes, it does.
Thank
you guys.
One of the challenges was that I was getting hit up by people who were saying they were going to cancel the donations to my other content and then move to YouTube, which YouTube actually takes a massive cut of. But we're trying to create them, like, the stuff I do in the morning is very different from the stuff I do at night because Adam and Lydia are part of the show as well.
Right.
So this, my shows in the morning are supporting me. The stuff you do now supports everybody. Just so that's clear for everyone. It's like different. All right, let's see. Harry Toe says, CNBC article, mall owner Taubman tells tenants must pay rent. He owns 25 malls. Scary stuff, man. Well, he's not going to get
25 malls?
Yeah, he's not going to get that money.
You don't need 25 malls, man.
Well, I mean, if you want them, it's fine. But if you think people are going to be paying rent now,
what is that saying? You can't get blood out of a turnip? You can't get something that ain't there.
Right.
You're not going to get it. Sorry.
Gavin, thanks for becoming a member.
Thanks.
Nunya Biz says, Tim, here is the overstated Italy figures story. Remember, Tim, you're talking about a media complex that censored Brazil's leaders and berate Trump for talking about a studied, trusted medicine as well. Yeah, the media is trash.
Agreed.
Period.
Agreed.
It's just unfortunate, but it is. Except for Subverse News, which you should check out. They're doing great work, by the way.
And also Timcast is pretty good news also.
Yes.
That's all right.
Yes. Joseph Kasky says, my concern about freedom of speech in America is that we have a media apparatus that freely lies. If the government were to crack down on media, it could inadvertently affect the rest of us poorly. Yeah.
How do you crack down on media without cracking down on freedom of speech? It's like we're the ones. The people are the ones who give the media so much power by watching them and listening to them.
Mockingbird. Paperclip was the World War II thing.
Operation Mockingbird?
Mockingbird was when they infiltrated media, right?
I think so.
Who did?
The CIA.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know a whole lot about it, but there was a senator who claimed the CIA had positioned its agents within media companies. Something like that. There's a lot of details I don't know. And I don't maybe it's not even true. I don't know.
It started in the early 50s and they tried to manipulate news media for propaganda.
Boom.
Oh, well, that worked.
All right, let's see what we got. The school bus says, Tim, I grew up in a church environment since I was a kid. Maybe the toilet paper replenishment is bunk, but God protecting you from the virus would be something you'd hear a lot of in a church.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Paxton says, too much talk about rights and not enough talk about responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone maintains their rights, but they should also take responsibility to not spread the virus. People should act to maintain their liberal societies. Excellent point that we missed over. That's a really good point.
How do you encourage responsibility without trampling on rights? That is mostly the concern.
Exactly.
Because rights are easy to take away.
Yeah, man.
And responsibility is hard to enforce.
I'm right. It's like setting examples doesn't really work. Like that's what you've been saying. It's like, how do you set an example without
I have an idea. Like
punishing.
What if there was a place and we could put people in it if they did things we didn't like? And if they didn't want to go there, we would use guns, right? Maybe we could even set up I know. And then what we do is we take their organs and sell them. That's what China is doing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right, that's what China's doing. That is not an answer to any of these problems. It makes them worse. It makes everyone in the world hate you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a serious trouble.
Hard.
It's cultural. Bad parenting. This is the problem of
public shaming. Let's bring it back.
Yeah,
no, we have public shaming. It's called cancel culture. The problem is
we don't like that.
No, not everyone's online. And you can turn it off. It's not the same.
No, it's not about being online, man. Like, people who are not online lose their jobs still in cancel culture. They'll post your photo, they'll post your face, and you'll have no idea what's going on.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you get fired. People start making phone calls.
It's even worse.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So the problem is that we don't think ahead. And so we encourage really bad behaviors that have long-term negative effects. We assume it's totally fine if people don't have dads. And then 20 years later, they're like, it was really bad they didn't have dads.
We tried to kick out the legs from our culture. We're like, we can take this all for granted. And this is something Heather Haying talks about. She talks about how she feeds her kids organic food because she doesn't think that you should mess with stuff that you don't understand completely.
Yeah.
Like, don't change things that have been this way for, millennia. Yeah, you don't mess with it. And we're trying to do that. And
it's not even about trying it, it's that we don't care because we're like, I don't see any negative effects to having no dad.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Right?
We'll give you money.
No, you don't got a dad? No, what's the problem? And then 20 years later, it's like a dude's in jail and on drugs. And it's like, maybe you should have had a dad.
Yep.
We know too late.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. J-Mac says, I found that the more libertarian-minded individuals trust the government less, have been more prepared for this crisis than those that either like governmental control or are geopolitically unaware. Thoughts?
Yeah.
So I think it's true that Democrats aren't preparing. Or no, they are preparing more. And that's actually proves the point because the conservatives already prepared.
Yeah.
And the Democrats didn't. So now that everything's falling apart, they're rushing to the gun stores. This is the funniest thing to me.
Yeah.
Seeing people in LA be like, why are gun stores closed?
Why
Because
can't
you
I get a
voted
gun
for these
today?
people.
Yeah.
Well, they walk in and they're like, why can't I get a gun today? Let me give you more
Right.
money. Let's make this happen. And the gun
Yep.
owner is like, are you serious? This is what you voted for. It's 10 days.
These people, man, they don't pay attention. And I don't necessarily blame them because not everyone's job to know everything. But if you're not
Right.
paying attention, this is what happens when you vote for this stuff.
You should know what you're voting for.
You should. Emeka, thanks for the super chat. Oh, man, it just jumped on us. Where are we at? There we go. Let's see. Pusa says, yes, the pastor should be arrested. As a devout Christian, we obey the government, even if it costs us our lives and livelihood. Roman 13, the second guy. Sad, but wisdom prudence is the Bible, Proverbs. Mix G Chan says, I have 5 years in USA and the only vaccinated once when I was approved for my green card. I have never gotten sick in the US. I believe my immune system got enough while living in the Caribbean islands. Interesting. Pateris Rex says, data cannot make bricks without clay. Work at as shopping cart repair and cleaning tech. Thanks for what you do. Appreciate it, man. Steven says, have you seen the article about the guy who owns a closed Philadelphia hospital and is refusing to let the government use it unless they pay him $1 million a month?
I saw that go by.
Something about it. I didn't know.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Well, what I read was that he wanted fair market price.
Okay.
And they
That's-
said no. And he
well,
said no.
That's eminent domain then. They need
Yeah.
to give him fair market price.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. That's what people don't understand. If the government is going to seize your property or requisition it in any capacity, they owe you the fair market. If the government doesn't do it, you don't give it up. Think about what would happen if this dude, like, you know, it's easy to say do the right thing for our society and give them access to your hospital. Think about it from his perspective. Now, I don't know. Maybe he's a bad dude, right? I'll put that out there. But it could also be him looking at his books and being like, if you take these numbers, we can't maintain the building, the power gets shut off, all the staff are fired.
Yeah.
And then they said, we don't care. And he's like, well, then get out of here. And then everyone's saying, like, what a bad person. You're like, we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, the optics are bad, but he might have
don't
his
know.
reasons.
Ralph, thanks for the big old super chat.
Thank you.
And Ray Johnson says, is your assembly peaceable if it could potentially kill hundreds or thousands of people? Well, the problem with that is your assembly peaceable if you trust the government?
Yeah, there's a guy in South Africa who had coronavirus or COVID, whatever, and broke quarantine to go to church. And then he was, I think, being held for attempted murder or something. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, it's just like,
Guy.
yeah, some guy in South Africa broke
right.
quarantine and they were like holding him for attempted murder. So it's like, is that basically the same thing? You know, it's like if you're telling people to come or you're going to protest with a bunch of other people and then you go home into your neighborhoods to sprawl out back into the countrysides or wherever.
Didn't California decriminalize no willful HIV transmission or something
Yep.
like that?
Yeah.
Is that for sure? Can you
I'm
check that though?
reminded- Yeah, I'm
Willful?
100% sure.
Was it?
Yeah.
Willful.
Seriously?
So you
Yeah.
don't have to tell. You don't have to disclose whether you have HIV.
So that
before you
means,
have a
yeah,
relations with
you can
people.
you can like, you know, hook up with someone, not tell them anything, and if they get infected,
You're
no
like,
problem.
bye.
But I want to make sure we have that fact check because I didn't pull up a source on that. So
I will double check.
yeah, because
for
I'm
sure.
very, very, you know, I take my sources very seriously.
Yeah, understandably.
Because that's always crazy. I think it's funny that they're actually arguing you could get someone sick. It's like, but California.
Yep, HIV patients in California will no longer face felony charges for exposing others to the illness.
What's the source?
Wow.
That is Fox News.
Oh, there you go.
CNN lowers penalty for California
Boom.
lowers
There
penalty.
it is.
Yeah.
Well then,
Yep.
all of these hypocrites who are like, California did a good thing with this, but if you have the coronavirus, obey the government.
You should go to
Otherwise,
jail.
prison.
Yeah, no.
Well, anyway,
Be
moving on
consistent.
to the next more fun story.
Yes.
we
Thank
watched
goodness, finally.
The Hunt.
We did. We watched a movie.
Do you know what The Hunt is?
We're reviewing a movie.
It's politically relevant.
Yeah,
It-
we
it
do.
is.
Yeah.
It is about liberal elites who kidnap conservatives and hunt them for sport.
So that's fun.
Check
So
this
wait,
out.
Talk about how it got canceled, didn't it? Or didn't
Yes.
it?
It
Who
did.
did this?
So it was
Whose
a little bit of everybody, but it was a lot on Trump.
Okay.
So when the movie was originally supposed to come out, I think it was in like September or something.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
A lot of people saw the trailers and saw opening text because like a script got leaked or something, and it was like it was pretty bad in the beginning. They're talking about how they're going to go hunt deplorables.
Yeah.
And they were mocking them. And the trailers very much depicted like, I don't know, doting conservative types, confused, being hunted with gags in their mouths.
They even referred to the rat-faced president or
Yep,
some
rat
sort
effer.
of. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Rat
Yeah,
effer
yeah,
president.
Some sort.
Rat
It's
effer
like
in chief.
Rat effer in chief. Yeah.
And
I've
so-
seen that term online. Yeah.
Exactly.
The movie is literally about the right and the left. And Trump tweeted that it was like something. It was like it's really awful that the liberals are depicting conservatives being like hunted for sport.
Mm-hmm.
And what people didn't realize is that because I was absolutely critical of the concept from the beginning.
It's like, what the heck?
But the film shows the conservatives are the good guys. This is the
Yeah, it's
craziest
true.
thing about the film. And guess what? If I told you there was a movie that shows liberal elites as maniacs who are so vindictive they would kidnap strangers for saying mean things about them on the internet and then hunt them for sport, you'd be like, okay, you're making fun of the left. Like, we get it, right? But what if I told you that Rotten Tomatoes has the official tomato meter?
Oh.
If I told you it made the left look bad, could you then imagine what the score is going to be? Well, for those that are listening,
The audience will love it.
the audience likes it. The critics hate it.
Oh, surprising.
Now. The audience score is only 66%, but it is considered pretty good.
Yeah, I would rate it a 66.6 in IMDb.
really?
That's about pretty accurate.
Oh,
I don't know, a little bit more.
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
7.
You don't think so?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that good.
I actually thought it was pretty good for what it was. Like I wasn't expecting,
I
Lord of
thought
the Rings.
it was kind of like a comedy to me. More.
It was a comedy.
Yeah, I mean,
it's literally a comedy.
Well, yeah, exactly. It was. It was entertaining.
I liked it.
It was entertaining.
At first,
Yeah.
I gotta say, I was really like, "Whoa, this is bad, man. This is bad, bad, bad."
I was like, this is going to make
Yeah, but
everything worse.
I thought that too, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, but
No.
by the way."
I don't mean bad as in like it was an awful movie. I was like, dude.
Oh, you mean like politically bad?
Yeah, there are
Yeah.
people who are going to watch this and they see a caricature of the left as violent psychopathic murderers
Mm-hmm.
who mock and belittle them and then hunt them for sport. And I'm like, we already have it bad where people create a caricature of the left and the right.
Yeah, that's
and this
true.
movie propped up the worst examples of what the left and the right were. And not even the right, actually, to be honest. The right was actually just,
Doddering.
doddering,
Dumb.
but
Yeah.
innocent.
Yeah.
And like old people, and like it was brutal. And the left was depicted as like these snide, wealthy, savage, emotional morons. Spoiler alert. All right, full on spoiler alert. I hope you guys are ready.
Should have opened with that.
No. I'm just saying that now we're getting into the spoiler
Okay.
alert. I'm gonna start talking about
All
stuff.
right.
So I'm gonna give you a fair warning for the next 10 or so seconds. Spoiler warning. So in the trailers, if you watch it, it's very obvious the conservatives are the good guys, and the liberals are the bad guys.
Right.
Now they do make some of the conservatives have to be bad guys for sure. Like, but they're not bad guys in the sense that they're antagonists. They're
Yeah.
bad guys in the sense that where you're like, oh, that
They're
guy's
terrible people.
They're bad people.
Yeah, you're just a bad person.
But here's the thing: the way the movie is set up, it's very obvious based on the tomato meter and the audience score. I think the split might be due to the fact that they do make conservatives, some of them, look really stupid and like awful people, but they more so make the left look like really nasty, evil people. So the critics on Rotten Tomatoes normally give like social justice lefty movies like top scores, and the audience rags on it. So there's like Death Wish, for instance, the Bruce Willis movie. It's got like a tomato meter score of like 10%, but the audience is like 90 something.
Oh wow.
This is a fun movie.
That's awesome.
It's about a guy, his wife gets killed, and he gets revenge. It's like kind of like, it's not the same as John Wick, but there's like a similar kind of feel to it.
Okay.
They called it a gun nut masturbation film.
Whoa.
And I'm like, well, no, it's not. It's a dad who didn't own any weapons, and he buys a gun because someone broke into his house.
Yeah.
And then he like protects his daughter, and he takes out the guy who was attacking him.
Sounds like a gun nut.
It was just a movie. It's like whatever.
Crazy.
But the audience thought it was fun because it was a popcorn flick. It's not like you're gonna write, you're gonna put it in the Library of Congress or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be autographed and like
Kinda
on your.
fun.
It's a fun movie. You're bored. You watch it. I think you'll have a good time.
So let me ask you: of all the people that are watching this movie, like, are you worried that people are, like, how many people do you think are gonna take it as though this is how people are? I don't feel like there's that many people out there, or am I
hope
just
not.
Here-
too
listen.
optimistic?
If I feel like based on what I watched in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a contingent of people on the left who are disgusted by it and angry that it makes them look like monsters. But there will be a contingent of people on the right who look at this and they say, that's exactly who these leftists are. I swear to God.
I mean, what's
So-
the percentage of people out there that are like that, though?
Tiny.
Yeah.
But a decent amount.
So, and those are the
This
people
is
that
gonna-
go crazy and do
This
do
is
crazy
going to
things.
sow animosity and division, and that's why I think they took it down. Because I'll tell you what, man. All right. So I gave you guys a spoiler warning. Here we go. The premise of the movie is that these in the beginning, these super wealthy liberal people are texting each other about going to their vacation home in Eastern Europe,
And blowing off steam.
and then someone says, "I can't wait to go and hunt some deplorables," and then someone jokingly responds, "You're not supposed to text about that." Someone leaks a screenshot, and it becomes a conspiracy theory called Manorgate.
Manorgate, right.
And so it starts with them being hunted. It's actually kind of funny. It's super brutal and gruesome. And the woman here on the left, this is very obvious from the trailer, so it's not the worst spoiler in the world. She's the protagonist. She's the good guy.
She's a champ.
And she is a Mississippi Southern girl, served in the armed forces in Afghanistan, presumably not overly conservative. They don't actually bring that up because she is actually there by mistake. So I've spoiled the movie for you. But the bad guy is this liberal elite who got angry that people were saying mean things about him on the internet.
Yeah.
So hired a military consultant and a bunch of her friends to hunt people and drug them and then drop them in Eastern Europe and then murder them all.
Yep.
And they say really annoying lefty things.
God, nonstop.
The
The old couple was really
Yep.
cringy.
Oh man, yeah.
Yep. They were, but it was cringy, but it was funny.
It was
It's
funny.
funny.
Yeah, it was funny. That's true. I
It
didn't
was
expect
making
it to
fun of
be
the
a,
left.
a comedy.
It was making
But
fun
it
of left.
totally was a comedy.
If
Yeah.
you are a regular conservative person or moderate, and you're not going to get, you're not going to be.
Your panties aren't going to get in a bunch.
Yes.
No.
As
What
it
I
were.
mean is, it's hilarious. It's really, really funny seeing people talk. One guy's they're driving in a car and they don't realize one guy's a bad guy, and he's like, "I would never blame the victim." And then as soon as he says that, the main character just slowly turns,
swivels in her
and then
chair,
she pulls her
puts her
legs
feet
up.
up.
It's funny. It's
Yeah.
really fun. Then just boom, right out the car.
right
Yeah.
out.
She's like, "Oh, this guy's a bad guy," and it's really funny seeing them they don't know how to use guns. Oh, dude, my favorite part of the movie is when she has some kind of rifle. I don't even know that much about guns, and so the liberal guy grabs the clip and then laughs.
He's like, ha,
and then she looks at him with this look, and then she shows him the chamber and then shoots him because they don't know how guns work. It was funny. It's funny. So I really do think this movie was made for more right-leaning people. And
yeah, I think so too.
yeah, they're the good guys. The liberal elites are the bad guys. The whole thing is a joke on, I think, Pizzagate. Seriously. That's why they call it Manorgate.
Yeah.
Everything's a gate now.
They
though,
talk
to be
about
fair.
a bunch.
Yeah.
Enough that
Yeah.
you're like, well, okay,
All
we
right.
get it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do think there will be a small contingent of people who look at this and it will make them feel an increased animosity towards the left.
There's a small group of people that look at anything and it does the exact same.
of course,
I'm dead serious.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's like,
Yeah.
It's
as long as they're not going out and killing people because they just think that that's now the case, you know?
Should I do a rundown? Should we do a rundown of it? Because we already spoiled it. Well, at this point, I'll just say, you've been warned. We've spoiled a decent amount of it. But basically, some of the celebrity actors that are in it aren't actually in it.
I mean, this is, it happens all within the first 10 minutes
Yeah.
of the movie.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Oh yeah. That
Heads
was
are being blown
exciting.
off.
yeah, you see all these famous people and the first 10 minutes is oh, I know that person.
Oh,
Boom.
I'm gonna see this person.
Or-
No, you're not.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
Or not.
all right. Well, maybe it's this person who's going to be the main
Nope.
character. Nope.
Nope.
All right.
Oh.
I did like Glenn Howerton is in it from It's Always Sunny.
I liked his
He's
character.
Dennis in It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
And there was a funny scene where he's wearing they're going through all the people they want to hunt down and why. And he walks in with a kimono robe and he gets yelled at because it's appropriation and they argue with each other. There's a bunch of moments like this where it's very
just
much
funny.
insufferable leftist social justice stuff.
Yeah, it's bad.
No, but I wonder if this was them taking a bet on whether or not they could make a product for moderates and conservatives and see if it would succeed. And it ended up backfiring because, people like Trump and were shut it down. This is awful. And I'll admit, I was critical. I think,
I was like, what?
but at the time, we were dealing with street violence and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, man, it's I don't know. So it's almost kind of sad. Because most of the movies
Yeah.
that they make, like this is Blumhouse, for instance. Don't they do like social justice movies?
Yeah, they do. They did The Invisible Man.
Oh, that was awful.
Oh man.
Oh, The
So
Invisible Man is
feminist,
so bad.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Heavy-handed feminist.
Dude.
I don't think I want to.
Yeah,
You don't want to see it.
After
was-
you told me, I think
It's
I'm good.
so
No, dude.
bad.
No, thanks.
So
it's
bad.
awful.
No.
It's like the premise of The Invisible Man is she's like, out of nowhere, so this guy, look, man, I can't even explain the movie because it makes no sense. It starts with her, what appears to be like robbing a dude, for real,
Yeah,
and
so
like
it's a
drugging
strong
him.
Start.
And then all of a sudden she's the victim somehow.
Yeah.
But then, like, the first thing she does when something weird happens, she goes, oh, my boyfriend didn't die and he's invisible. And it's like, what?
Wait,
Like,
seriously?
I don't-
Yeah.
She like
So-
figures it out immediately.
Immediately.
Right,
yeah.
right. So, like, apparently she's escaping this guy.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
Whatever,
for the
man.
no
I don't
one's gonna
care
go
about
see
I don't
that.
know.
No
Well,
one's gonna
There
well-
see
might
it.
be somebody out there who's like, "Oh man,
We're
they
quarantined
ruined this
anyway.
movie."
No.
Well, so, okay, so spoiler
Oh,
alert.
you watched it.
Look, Invisible Man
Gosh,
is a
unfortunately.
feminist trash film that got great ratings. Go figure. And The Hunt is a satiric, a culture war
Edgy.
satire, and it's funny. It's gruesome. But in Invisible Man, it's basically like her boyfriend apparently dies. This is all in the trailer, by the way, so it's not revealing too much.
Yeah.
And like her ex-boyfriend, she flees him, and then she ends up like he leaves her money. And then all of a sudden something weird happens and she goes and she immediately says, he's still alive.
He's still alive.
I just can't see him. He's invisible. And it's like, how did you leap from you just saw a picture of his corpse to he's still alive and he's invisible? Like, how does that make
Yeah.
sense at all? The movie was just total garbage.
I'm glad I didn't watch it.
But here's why I bring it up. It's sad because so many of the movies that Hollywood has made have been overtly woke and annoyingly woke, like Ghostbusters.
You know what? I might want to add right now that I finally did watch the last Star Wars film. I know we've talked about it for everyone, and it was terrible.
But
It was-
it's
it was-
sad terrible. Like you could see how they were trying to recover what they had lost
You're
because
right.
of the second one.
It was sad, terrible.
Yeah, there were like
Yeah.
really over the top bad things where they were trying to jam two movies into one because
Yeah.
they ruined the second one.
And and whatever cohesion the actors had together, like the first movie, it felt like, I guess there was still mystery. You still didn't know the whole story, but there still was like they worked well together. But this movie, it felt like they were strangers again. Suddenly,
Yeah.
all of the actors were strangers. They didn't know each other anymore, and they were like learning how to act with each other.
Right.
Yeah, it was
Well,
weird.
well,
I don't understand. Like, how
but-
did they
but-
lose all of that?
Here's the point I want to make about The Hunt.
Yeah, go ahead.
They make all of these woke movies that are just miserable and everyone hates it, and the critics pretend like it's good, and then they make The Hunt, which I actually thought was funny and mocking the left for the most part, and it gets shut down because conservatives and Trump were calling it out, and I'll assume some of the blame because I was critical of it for sure.
Okay.
But I was more tepid critical like I usually am. But they do make fun of conservatives. Like they make one guy look like a really nasty dude. But you don't really relate to him. Like I think you're supposed to relate to the woman who's in between these people, like rolling her eyes, like, ugh, who are these stupid people?
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
And then at the end, you don't find out where she leans politically either.
Well, she's very obviously conservative. Southern military, like weapons. She knows how to use a gun.
She doesn't specifically verbalize.
It's true.
it. Yeah.
But come on. Is a a woman who lives in Mississippi who served in Afghanistan, knows how to use a weapon, more likely to be conservative or liberal?
Conservative, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I like the idea of
Just
somebody
saying.
standing in the middle rolling their eyes. To me, that's me.
Like a moderate.
That's perfect.
But
yeah.
but here's the problem. Or I shouldn't say the problem. The conservatives,
Here's the thing.
here's the thing.
You're welcome.
Figured it out.
You're welcome.
The conservatives are stupid in the movie. They're not really conservatives. They're like conspiracy theory podcaster types,
Right.
but they're innocent. The big problem with them is they have stupid thoughts.
Yeah.
Like one guy is like, it's like the premise is they were saying mean things on the internet about these people, and that was justification for executing them all. And so the left decides to literally go and murder tons of people for being mean online. That's it.
It's so ridiculous.
So it's like you can despise some of the things these guys say because they're really dumb.
Yeah.
But there was one scene where a guy is he's in the gas station, and the woman behind the counter says, "Be careful with that thing. He's holding a gun. It's going to go off." And he goes, "It's not going to go off." And she's like, "What if it does?" And he goes, "I own several guns. I know what I'm doing." And she goes, "Why?" And he goes, "Excuse me?" She goes, "Why do you own several guns?" And he's like, "Because it's my constitutional right to defend myself." And then she's like, "And what do you do after the revolution?" And he's like, "What?" And she goes, "What about them? Aren't they exercising their rights?" And he's like, what? And then, she kills him.
Yeah, it was
Like,
so weird.
So
to
a
me.
conservative guy saying it's my right to have a gun to defend myself, and these people are trying to kill me. And their justification was that, so it's their right to have guns too. Like, what sane person would agree with that statement?
Yeah, it didn't really make sense.
Well, right, they're mocking
so
the
weird,
left for
yeah.
being insane.
And this is the old couple that I was referring to earlier.
Yeah,
that
that's
was
pretty
like
funny.
And it was,
man,
dude,
like, come on.
it is satisfying to watch this movie. It was well done. I was really impressed with, like,
6.6.
the antagonist, the protagonist doesn't start right away with her.
Yeah.
Like, it actually, it's
See her.
It's good.
You see her in the beginning.
Right.
It kind of alludes that it's going to be her.
They give you this big celebrity moment, which
Yeah.
is hilarious.
Yes.
Wonderfully. That was the best part of the movie.
Yes.
It was silly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then she comes in and she is a badass.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It's very satisfying to see her just like, her attitude is very just like slow and methodical, but also kind of nonchalant and blasé.
Yeah, she
Like,
was a cool
ugh.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in all, I think it's better than a 6.6, man. I'd give it like a 7.
Cool.
It's a movie I would watch again.
Yeah. I said
Sure.
a 7. I think that's
yeah,
fair.
7. So
Yeah.
I recommend it, I guess.
It's pretty close. 6.6.
Yeah, I'm glad. So we also watched Bloodshot while we're here.
Okay.
I would give
Sure.
Bloodshot a 6.5 or a 6.
I would give it also a 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not as bad as I expected.
Bloodshot was cool, but it was very much like a typical Vin Diesel action film.
Yeah.
And I felt like they could have done so much more with it. They were
They
close.
actually, it was kind of cool, the twist that like
Right.
you find out
Whoa.
what they were,
Spoilers.
what he was really doing for them.
But even
I'm not
say-
spoiling it at
But
all.
saying there's a twist is a spoiler.
There's
Oh,
a
is it?
twist in a movie.
What?
Oh
No,
my
no,
goodness.
hey man. Look, you're gonna look at. They're all gonna be like, no,
No,
no.
they trust the word.
That's right.
Sweet Jesus.
Yes.
All right, so actually want to do one more quick segment. So,
Okay.
do you guys feel like doing the baby boom one?
Yeah.
Talking about baby boom.
Yeah.
I guess.
We'll just jump. We'll do this one really quick. We'll
Sure.
So this is a story that's been popping up quite a bit because we're all locked in our homes.
Well, yeah, we were joking about it multiple times.
Right.
Yeah, we were.
There's
talking
going to be a bunch of
indefinitely.
babies. We talked about on the show, coronials. And there's actually two things: a baby boom and a huge spike in divorce rates.
Yeah.
Because people are trapped with each other now.
Why not both?
But well, exactly.
I hope not.
Some people have argued it'll be no, we won't see a baby boom, we'll see divorce. And it's like, no, I don't think you understand. You can see both.
Yeah.
And then people are going to have kids, and that's kind of a bad thing.
Yeah.
But the Washington Post said we might see a coronavirus baby blip, not a boom. I don't agree. There's a lot of reasons for the baby boom.
Well, boom was over a course of years, not one. Like, I mean, I hope we're not.
But they
stuck
also
for years.
they also didn't quarantine their entire population, which was much smaller.
Well, that's why it's going to be a crazy blip instead of a boom. You know.
Whoa, dude!
Oh, maybe, yeah.
In 9 months,
Yeah,
from
that's what
like
I'm
right
talking
around
about.
now.
Hospitals will be overrun
Yes.
with pregnant women.
Yep, for real.
Man.
And schools.
I hope we're
Yeah.
out
A few
of
years
the
later?
woods.
Yeah, that's the blip. Makes sense.
Oh, I see what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's a boom is like a slow roll
Slow
and
rolling,
expansion,
yeah.
Right.
whereas
the
a blip
baby
is like a
boomers,
massive
it was
spike.
like that whole era of
Yeah.
like, we finally beat the recession. We're building like
We won
America.
the war. Yeah.
You know.
So-
so
But here's why I think it's guaranteed to happen. Some people say, well, we don't actually know people are going to hook up and have babies, right?
yeah.
Sure. Condom shortage looms after coronavirus lockdown shuts world's top producer. Boom.
Well, that seals it.
Baby's coming.
That's
Secret,
it.
everyone was grabbing the toilet paper, and then they weren't showing this, but they would ride around the aisle and grab all the
Grab all the
condoms,
condoms,
too.
too.
Were they really doing that?
No.
No, okay. But this is Kuala Lumpur. A global shortage of condoms is looming. So, all right, I'm kidding. Right now we have condoms, so people are going to get them. So we'll see what happens if in 9 months is a major boom.
We're gonna wake
But there
up
is.
tomorrow and it's like, for some reason, people all across America were running to the store and buying out condoms.
At one moment, 12,000 people went out right around
There's been
10
a run
p.m.
on
Eastern and raided all the condoms.
Oh man.
Yes.
So the Washington Post says, thanks to the coronavirus, Americans have been locked out of their offices and told to work from home. There's no eating out. Well, depends on your definition. Ooh, I'm so funny, right?
Timothy.
No recreational shopping and no hanging with friends. Almost all events are canceled and no one can travel. There's not even live sports on TV. Seriously, man.
So boring.
Of the many questions this extreme situation raises, one will have to wait several months for an answer. Should we expect a coronavirus baby boom? A surprising amount of research has been done on the subject of post-disaster fertility. The headline hypothesis is fairly straightforward. With other activity curtailed, couples have more opportunity and perhaps more desire for intimacy. 9 months later, the babies show up. This theory was behind
how it works.
That's
That
it.
is how it
Yes,
works?
yes. The stork comes. This theory was behind a series of articles published by the New York Times in the aftermath of the great New York City blackout of November 1965, when several local hospitals registered an increase in births starting in August 1966. The Times attributed the spike to how the infants' parents kept busy when the lights went out.
Hold on. Thank you.
Seinfeld theme.
Thank you, Adam. So I had a question.
Yeah.
How long was the blackout?
Yeah, I don't know.
How long
Not that
are we
long,
going to be
right?
stuck inside?
Couple years.
No, they said blip. It's not a boom.
Years.
I'm worried.
I think we're going to be locked down for a long time, man. I don't think anyone understands. Maryland's lockdown is indefinite. They've given no expiration.
Right.
Yeah, that's frightening.
So the closest comparison these people have is like weather events and the blackout in 1966.
Look it
Those
up.
are very, very short.
Pull up the wiki. I'll keep reading.
Short. Yeah, I'm really curious.
They say sociologist J. Richard Udry wanted to test the assumption for himself and in 1970 published his findings. As it turned out, upon reviewing the citywide data, Udry found no statistically significant increase or decrease in the number of conceptions during the blackout. Yet ever since, each new disaster seems to have brought reports of a surge in births. If lack of alternative entertainment doesn't spur a COVID-19 baby boom, might the widespread calls to come together for the sake of our civilization inspire people to start working on the next generation? I really doubt it. This banding together theory was one of the main explanations in a 2005 study showing an increase in births in the counties surrounding Oklahoma City after the 1995 bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. When a population unites around a common goal, people feel more ownership of the future. We might therefore expect more baby making to result from the nationwide campaign against the coronavirus.
Yep.
I think it's actually, we have no purpose. And because we have no purpose, there's no need to reproduce. And I don't think it's necessarily about people being occupied with other things. I think it's like, so I was reading that people die most after retirement. Mm-hmm. Like, that's true, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Typically, when people retire, they die within a year.
Well,
And I think I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But here's my personal hypothesis.
I never heard that.
Yeah, it's like 55 to 60, right? When people-
especially guys, I guess,
Yeah.
when they retire. They
No
die
more
really
purpose.
soon after retirement.
Think about the advantage in evolution. If someone is no longer producing for the collective, for the tribe, for the family, they're a drag on resources. They're no longer working, they're not producing. Them dying would be a net benefit to the rest to the survivability of the family because now they need less resources. So if you have 10 people and, one buffalo can feed 10 people and one person does no work, everyone is doing extra work to support the person who doesn't. There are some people, they found this in the blue zones, the areas where people live to be over 100. One factor is that they all work well into their, 90s or 100. There was one interview I saw, I don't know if it was an interview, but there was a guy in Japan, and it was this really old guy in his 90s chopping wood, and they were like, "You're 90, why do you still do this?" And he said, "If I don't, who will?"
Yeah.
So one of the big factors in survival was, was that.
Moving.
So I wonder if the reason people don't have babies is for the same reason. We know internally we're not doing anything to better our society. It would be a drain on society to, reproduce in a world where there's no purpose anymore. So now that we have an actual common threat and a goal and our survivability is under threat, people all of a sudden now start reigniting a desire to have kids, and it might be subconscious. It might just be like all of a sudden they're like, I'm going to have kids, and it could be because now we are actually being threatened.
Or like what we were talking about maybe a month ago now, is like how this whole thing bringing factories back to America is like bringing Americans back together. So it's like
back to the 1950s.
Well, it doesn't have to be back to the 1950s, but still bringing production back here is simply a thing that can be bringing people together. It's like a lot of people on either side are like, we should make our own medicine. Like China shouldn't have control over our medicine.
Yeah, that's
like
bipartisan.
That's pretty broad, It's like, but a lot of people believe that. So it's like, we should start working towards that. And then the we in that sentence is the key, It's like, so maybe it's already kind of begun and now we're quarantined. So
right. But do you think people are consciously saying like, I think we should have children for the sake of our country?
No, it's more of like a comfort thing, I guess, Obviously in this situation, it's not really comfortable, but the thought of having kids isn't as scary, because there is something there for them.
We're building something. We can rely on each other.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, maybe.
Exactly.
when you start to think that there might not be a future, you start thinking about the future. And you're like, well, if I want to have kids, maybe I should do that now that
You know
I have
what?
time.
Hey, here's another
more
thing.
people should think about
Maybe-
the
Yeah,
future.
Well,
should.
maybe it's also
Yeah.
this. Maybe for a lot of women who are working, they never have the opportunity. So now that people are at home, they're thinking, we don't know how long it's going to take, how long it's going to last. There's a window now where you can't work. Like one of the concerns I read about, because I'm not a woman, so I wouldn't know, is that if women choose to have a family, they take time off work and it holds them back. If now everyone has to take time off work,
You're on the same
No
playing
detriment.
field. Yeah.
Or
So
maybe
have a kid.
maybe we got to have a bunch of kids so we can raise the farm in the old school way.
That's
and
right.
Get to work, kids.
conspiracy theory time.
Oh, yeah.
Start
is-
plowing the fields. We got to raise the corn up.
That's
Right.
the
We
conspiracy.
got a conspiracy
The
theory.
governments of the world are seeing the declining birth rate of all of the different countries, and we're like,
Ah.
we got to figure out how to lock everyone in their homes and make them terrified of their own mortality.
And you know what? It's interesting because
I'm kidding, by the way, seriously.
No, yeah. But there's a lot of people are going out and buying food, buying a lot of things, buying stuff,
Yeah.
spending money and buying
Well,
stuff.
it's
So-
true, but the economy.
No, I know.
It's
I-
almost
I
like
know.
a hard reset, though.
Yeah,
It is.
exactly.
Like all of a sudden now, our farmers and our grocery store workers are our most important jobs. Truckers. It used to be like celebrities.
Yeah, you know when you take I'm gonna pull
doctors too.
Nintendo 64. You take the disc out, it wasn't working. You
Cartridge.
go, you
Yes.
blow it.
Reset.
You
So
blow it.
that wind that you use is COVID-19.
Ooh.
Boom, put it back in.
A cleansing
power.
rain.
If we have a
I'm
hard
just
reset,
kidding, I don't know.
we have a hard reset to our economy, and all of a sudden now we're like truckers, doctors, nurses, police, EMTs, like core jobs that actually make society function are now getting. People are clapping and cheering. You see these videos?
Yeah.
Like a nurse walks outside and everyone in the neighborhood's screaming and clapping, and she's just like, thank you, whatever. And you don't even know if at her hospital they're overwhelmed. Some places they are, some places they aren't. So it's kind of like a back to basics thing.
Yeah.
Where people are going to come out of this being like, what do we need to build? Because celebrity ain't it. We don't need to cheer. I mean, we'll still have them for
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
But right now, the celebrities are going insane in their bedrooms.
And everyone's watching
And making
going,
fun of it.
Why are you you're in a mansion? How are you not?
You're literally crying in your mansion, bro. We're
Yeah.
not interested in
Oh,
hearing
so
about you right now.
sympathetic.
No, this is actually another interesting point is all of a sudden now they're not sympathizing with the wealthy people crying in their apartments because they see how bad it is for the doctors and nurses actually catching this, getting sick, or putting themselves at risk.
and still out there working.
Back in before all this broke out, a celebrity would cry and people would be like, leave them alone. You don't understand how hard it is to be a famous celebrity. Now it's like,
Neither do you.
but now it's mainstream to mock these celebrities.
it's true.
Now
yeah.
everyone's jumping in on making fun of them. Like
Even
now,
the celebrities.
right? They're realizing it's not cool to be the weirdo.
Yep.
Like you have
They're
to make fun
wait,
of the weirdos.
Wait, this isn't working anymore. Oh no!
Oh no, what do
Yeah.
I do?
My whole premise is built on this.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. What is it? It's March.
So that's November.
November.
Gosh, it's
November.
still March. March 97th.
Yeah, Jesus,
March and May.
seriously.
April's just around the next year.
Yep. Well. Come November, October, November, and December, we'll start to see stuff. We'll see what happens.
Hey,
The baby
track it.
blip. The
Yeah.
baby blippers.
Yeah,
the cronials.
so you know how there was a little baby boom after that power outing?
Yeah.
You know how long the power was out for?
How long?
25 hours. We are going
Well.
to see something like we have never seen before.
25 hours. That's so
25.
stupid.
Well, hold on.
Come
They
Come
do
on,
say they
people.
He
found
said
no,
it was small.
they found that
Small
no
bump.
statistically significant increase or decrease.
Oh man,
So
you
what's-
ruined it.
I read that already.
All right.
Let's grab.
That's
We're
silly.
gonna grab the rest of these here super chats. When we'll try to get what we can, but
I
I
found
think
an article that said otherwise.
okay, here we go. All right. Let's see. Benjamin says authoritarian regimes that crush individuality will inevitably collapse because without it, they won't be able to adapt to new situations. And I agree with that. Oddhall says, keep it the great work. Also, just realized you always tell us about your bug out van to distract us from the fact you have a bug out Zeppelin. Lie to me.
Yes.
Steven says, be safe, do the right thing. God blessings to all. Appreciate it. Shane says, my sister was exposed because her idiot roommate thought God would protect her on a trip to Israel. She was wrong. Fortunately, sister tested negative. That's good to hear.
Yep.
And Kari, thanks for the super chat. Zach Lee says, Tim, you're all the TP I ever need.
Aw.
Salem County went from 3 COVID cases this morning to 12 this evening. Be careful, my fellow South
man.
Jersey peeps. It's here. Whoa, really, Salem? Wow, man.
Oof.
Yeah,
Staying in.
Yeah, we're in South Jersey, so we're seeing it pop up now. I'm not giving my name to a machine. What is that from? Is that from?
I don't know.
It's Bender, I think.
Oh.
Bender said that.
I'm not giving
from
my name to a
Futurama.
machine.
Maybe. It sounds like something Bender would say. That's the joke. He's a
does.
machine. Coronavirus, fire and brimstone coming down from the skies, rivers and seas boiling, 40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes, the dead rising from the grave, human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria, and that is a Ghostbusters reference, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Dogs and cats living together. Dogs and cats are friends.
Bill Murray.
Yeah.
His a great rant.
J Max says Shapiro had Jason Blum on his show talking about it. It was actually a really good Sunday special with some insight into Hollywood.
Yeah,
oh,
I didn't
cool,
have a chance
interesting.
to listen to that.
The Hunt is good. You guys should watch it. It's like you'll like it. You'll have fun. The Immortal Watchdog says you should watch the first season of an old show called Earth Final Conflict. It predicted a lot, including having an outbreak and a Trump-like character. Interesting. And Kari says people get to vote nationally if you do military service for 4 years. You always get to vote locally even without service. Encourage responsibility. That's the Starship Troopers method.
I gotta watch that again.
Service guarantees citizenship or whatever.
Citizenship, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Bimbo says, in NYC, know some nurses with hours cut. Know other people that know nurses with. Some hospitals overrun, some slow. Like Lenox Hill, no BS. Yeah, it's mixed, you know. David and Couch, thanks for coming members.
Thanks.
Onuxin says, Tim, would you ever consider arming yourself? AR-15 member? Maybe. Also, would you ever wear a Gadsden flag beanie for one show if someone sent you one? Probably not the Gadsden flag, although I got no issue with it. I like it. AR-15, it depends. Absolutely. Yeah. Full Beard says, please talk about the Duncan Lemp story on one of your videos. It's very relevant to what's going on with authoritarianism. I'll take a look into it. Dark Duck says, the hunt got delayed because of the shootings. ATM. That's right. It was around the time there was like a big shooting or something, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Truth Seeker says, Generation V. That's kind of cool. Non-Servium says, oh no, an emergency. I guess I'll just open up my legs and get free rent. Well, there you go. Non-Servium says, factories will not come back to America because we will not lower our standard of living. They'll just go somewhere else. I guess we'll see. Frank says, hi, Tim, Soy, Jesus, and Lydia. Thank you for the content. I was certain things would get worse here in Seattle, but I'm glad it's slowing down.
Oh, that's good.
Presumably. Chris White says, the mayor of Houston told criminals to take the month off for coronavirus. Oh, yeah, they'll do it. Generic says, Lydia is the UFO.
Ooh.
And John Reese says, one thing I've noticed as a slightly younger person, 24, a lot of people are starting to learn basic skills. A good thing. Learn how to start a fire. Learn how to like cut down a tree and like chop wood and like build a shelter and other fun stuff. It's fun. I love that stuff.
Me too.
You know?
I love it.
All right.
Build everything.
It's about time it's high time we left these parts. So if you haven't already, hit that like button before you go. It really does help. You can follow us. Our social media handles are right there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and we're going to we post the full recorded streams every morning to the community section of this YouTube channel, but it also goes up on iTunes and Spotify, and we're getting it on all other podcast platforms in the near future. But make sure you subscribe. It does help the channel, and I don't know, anything else? Is that it? Are we good?
Subscribe and share.
Share,
yes.
Yeah,
tell everyone we're awesome.
Yeah, break those bubble chambers.
Well, I don't know.
Chambers.
Here's what you should do. You go out and be like, dude, this guy Soy Jesus, Tim Pool and Lydia, that's like the best podcast ever, man.
So chill.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Somehow we ended up with getting like a ton of viewers really quickly. So you guys are awesome. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep, we do. We appreciate you guys.
When we first started, I did not expect we'd have 12,000 people watching. So it's really, really fun and really cool. And I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
All right. We'll see you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. for the next show. Thanks for
Yes.
hanging out.
Thanks, guys.
Like.